because I'm seriously like, I need some new pizza to flavor up my life.
It's in the Strathmore complex in Mattawan. Check that shit out.
I'm putting it in my phone.
Hell yeah, it's my favorite place. I'm not even lying. I'm considering going to New Jersey for a weekend just to have that pizza in the near future. So
if you really want, I could ship you pizza. Like I could frozen seal it or something.
Whoa, that's a real thing.
I've never done it, but I'm down.
About that as we wind down. I like that idea. So Nick, are we live? Oh, yeah. So people that are watching us before we actually start this interview, just to give you guys a heads up, me and Lauren discovered that she's in New Jersey right now. I'm from New Jersey Central, and she lives really close to where I grew up. So we're just talking pizza, New Jersey pizza, which is some of the best pizza in the world. Doesn't hold a candle to LA pizza.
No, there's no such thing as LA pizza. I don't know what that mod pizza shit is, but
no, screw that, man. Mod pizza is bullshit. Even the stuff that is like actually kind of okay, like Blaze pizza or whatever, like doesn't hold a candle. Not even close.
Not even Dino's.
Dino's is like, it's like okay. Like the best pizza is only like okay compared to the best, even like mediocre New Jersey pizza. Like Dino's and like the Bat Cave, they're like okay, you know. All right, so I guess we should get started. Should we just like start this up?
Yeah, go for it.
Go for it.
All right, welcome to the Animation Success Stories podcast, also known as ASS podcast, ASS. If this is your first time joining us, this is our third time doing it digitally, by the way. We're having a lot of success doing that. It's easier for us to like get together, which is nice when we're doing it digitally. So we're probably going to do this a few more times in the near future. But if this is your first time joining the ASS podcast, what we do here is we talk to animation industry professionals, past and present. We learn about their stories. We learn about the hurdles they had to get to where they are now. We learn about their, essentially, animation success stories, thus the name ASS.
For those of you who are...
yeah, exactly. I mean, usually I'll say my normal shit. You know, we learn about the hurdles they need to jump and the rivers they need to traverse and the shit they need to trod through in order to get to where they are today. Today in the ASS, thus the name ASS. Whoa, is that my echo?
Oh, is that me?
That was cool.
Hey, I think that was my fault because I have YouTube on another screen right now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That was my bad. Sorry.
That was a good intro for Lauren right there. Today in the ASS, we have Lauren L. right here. So Lauren, thank you for joining us.
Hey
Lauren,
guys.
She's known, of course, Sabrina and Nick. She went to school with them. She's worked at MTV Studios, Nickelodeon Studios, but you guys probably know her for her YouTube channel. Her YouTube cartoons get like millions of hits. Incredibly popular channel, and we're going to learn all about that today in the ASS. I think this is the first time we have like a successful YouTuber as our guest, so we're pretty excited to learn like that path. Incredibly different from like traditional animation path. You know, a lot of people we talk to, they went to like 4 years of college, or maybe they just were super talented artistic wise, and they decided to like climb the ladder inside the animation, studio kind of little hive mind there until they get all the way up to the top as an animator, storyboard artist, director, producer. But you went a completely different route, but you're still finding success. So we're excited to hear about your story.
Aww.
So thanks for coming on the ASS show.
Thanks for having me. I'm a big fan. I watched a lot of your guys' episodes. I love your.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Yeah, wow, you made it all the way through. Like some of them are getting longer and longer. Like we started off doing like an hour, and the last few were like 2.5 hours long. So we're getting like Joe Rogan level. What's that?
They're so good.
Yeah. I mean, they've definitely been increasing in quality. That's for sure. So Lauren, you went to school with Sabrina and Nick, right?
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to have gone to school with these two guys. Love them.
Well, can you just tell us what school that was before we launch into the podcast?
Do I have to? No, I'm kidding.
Honestly, I don't know. I don't even remember.
No,
Controversial question.
no. Well, I mean, it's kind of no. Our school was AI. It was the Art Institute of North Hollywood.
I live in North Hollywood now.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I lived there, right around the school's area for a few years when I used to go there, and I believe the school got shut down recently, so that's why I'm being all weird about it. But it was a good school if you made your own opportunities. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, no, I definitely hear you. I mean, I think in general, a lot of schools, you get out of them what you want. Like two people can go to the same college and one person can get so much out of it because, they're applying what they're learning in practical ways, where other people, even if they're like academically inclined, could find no success because they don't know how to apply that stuff, So it really depends on the person and how you follow through with all that stuff. So that's cool. Well, I mean, whether it's here or not, it doesn't matter because, you guys you're all three, you guys are successful.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Brian often drops out of the call, so he just did that. He might do that sporadically throughout the call. So if that happens, we're just gonna keep trudging through, and he'll pop back in, and he'll have his questions and whatnot. But
I like it.
Are you still there, Brian?
No, that was me.
Oh, okay. Well, he'll be back.
See the layout? It's like blocking my face.
Yeah. All right, so okay, let's get into the interview, Lauren. We could talk New Jersey all day, but besides that, let's start with the first question we always ask our guests is, what was your first animation memory?
Oh my God.
Your very first animation memory, fresh out of the womb.
Oh, okay. Well, I have to go ahead and say Nickelodeon 90s shows, probably like Rugrats, Doug, that kind of stuff. I was introduced to Nickelodeon like first in terms of cartoons, and that stole my heart.
Well, hell yeah, those were great. I mean, those have the same impact as like Looney Tunes shorts or something of that nature for a lot of older people because I mean, I'm a bit older than you, I'm sure. I'm older than you and Sabrina and Nick, but you guys are all in that generation. You're in like your mid-20s, right? And that generation was kind of founded on the early 90s is when you guys really have your strongest memories formed. And that's like 91 is when Nickelodeon animation like launched, right? 91 is when Doug, Rugrats, and what was the other one? Ren and Stimpy.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ren and Stimpy, yeah.
Yeah, all launched. Like I think it was August of 91. So, I mean, that probably left a lasting impact on you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I would say growing up with 90s Nickelodeon, I would say that's my biggest inspiration. That's probably the reason why I'm where I am now is like it completely inspired me to want to be in cartoons. Like number one inspiration.
What was your favorite shows? Just like Doug and Rugrats and Ren and Stimpy, or did you have like one that you really clung on to? I loved all of them. Like even, like Cat Dog and like all those like Real Monsters, like everything. I mean, honestly, they were all such big hits to me. I still think they're so great. But like Rugrats was obviously the best. Like I loved Rugrats the best. And then Doug was just huge inspiration. And then, just as the years went on, like even SpongeBob was obviously me and my siblings would die laughing at SpongeBob and. Oh hell yeah, yeah for sure. Do you think that a lot of those shows have formed your sensibilities as far as like your humor goes and like what you put into your shows?
Oh, 100%. Oh, Hey Arnold's one of my biggest too. I think I have a lot of like 90s cartoons humor for sure. There's like some stuff I do, like in my last video I just posted a few days ago, I have like the scene where like the running joke is that I love getting pie from Burger King and like I'm getting fat and then I realize I'm fat, blah, blah, blah. And then it's kind of like what I do with my videos on YouTube is I honestly try to make them into episodes. I'm so inspired by like the 90s episodes that I kind of try and do that with my stuff. And like there was this one part where I realize I'm fat, I'm whatever, and I'm like, I go up to the drive-thru and I'm like, they're like, oh, what would you like? And then I'm like, the usual, and then I like narrow my eyes and I'm like, hold the pie. And it's like, I feel like that's like such a 90s like Nickelodeon thing. I don't know, like narrowing your eyes. Like, hold the, I don't know.
Yeah, no, for sure. There's definitely a lot of like tropes and stuff that were peppered throughout those 90s cartoons. I'm sure they were kind of derivative of like stuff that came before them, you know, but like our generation kind of latched onto that stuff and we remember it from those shows, like those kind of tropes and like things
Well,
that
a lot of the 90s Nickelodeon stuff came from like that early counterculture that was like developing at the time.
Yeah, for sure. Like I'm sure like 90s grunge played a big part in like the style and like it was a very creator driven, right? So everything they wanted to like just throw spaghetti on the wall and see what stuck, and they just gave these shows to these creators and just to have a unique voice. Because from what I remember reading at some point, well, before that, a lot of the stuff was just like 80s, like humanoid 80s cartoons to sell like GI Joes or whatever, you know, and they wanted to like break from that, and they really did in a big way, you know, and it left a lasting impact.
Yeah.
At least I think so. You know, that's cool. Yeah, that stuff had a big effect on me as well.
Like they were just such risk takers back then. You know, back then they weren't afraid of ratings. I feel like they were kind of just taking risks and going with their gut and their heart.
Yeah, I agree.
It really showed.
In a way, I kind of akin it to like Netflix now, or like some streaming services now. Like they're taking a lot of chances and just putting a lot of content out just to see what sticks. You know, trying to find new voices out there, like Netflix and even like Amazon and stuff like that are putting out some cool animated shows right now too.
Yeah, it's really cool to see that.
For sure. So was animation something you always wanted to do, even at a young age? Like when you were watching these 90s animated cartoons on Nickelodeon, did you know immediately that's what you wanted to do as a career, or did it take some time? Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, I remember in like 3rd grade, 4th grade, I created this show and I called it Kate and Kit, and it was about a girl who's like a tomboy and she had a pet kitten, and that's like her little buddy that would like, you know, follow her around, and the cat talks, and that I kind of like created this whole show when I was a kid. And I used to think like I never could what's the word? I couldn't imagine like comprehend how to make a cartoon. So I kind of was like, I don't know what I want to do, but I think I want to like write stories or write books on Kate and Kit. Like that's what I want to do. So as I grew up, I just started like, I would always make books of Kate and Kit, like my own episodes, but I would but comics, yeah, sorta, exactly. And then I would like not write the words though. I would just draw the pictures, and then like I would be like showing my parents my stories, and they'd be like, "Where's the words?" I'm like, "It's all in my head. You just have to look at the picture." And it's like that's like when I realized I don't like words. Why do I want to write books? I don't want to write books. Yeah. I want to make these guys move. And so over time, I realized I wanted to make my own show on Nickelodeon. That was my dream since I was a kid, and I still am still like developing Kate and Kit to this day. I've made it up in 4th grade, and I still like have this dream of making it one day.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool that I still have that like idea, and I still have the drawings from when I was in 4th grade too, which is really, really crazy. So yeah.
So I love that you had like, you knew what you wanted to do, even if you didn't know. It was like inside of you, and you were trying to let it, your like inner self was trying to let it out, but you didn't know that like drawings moving needs to be on like a screen and move in order to tell the story. You were just like, yeah, just look at the pictures. Don't you understand? So
yeah. I used to think when people looked at my drawings, they saw what I saw. Yeah. Like they saw the character moving and talking, and like I saw this huge episode in my head, and like I could literally look at one doodle I drew like back then, and I remember the entire concept of I don't know, I've always been into like TV even. Like I've never even been into, like I never had a desire to make a movie like a lot of people do, like make an animated film, like a movie film.
You and I are in the same boat for that.
Really? Cool.
I much prefer television.
Me too. And I don't know, I feel like I was like the only person I feel like that felt that way. And I was like, why do I feel this way? Like everyone else wants to make movies. And I think it's because I love the feeling of a new episode coming on Saturday morning or Saturday night or whatever. And the characters in a lot of shows that I like, characters will grow every episode or like develop every episode. And in a movie, it's kind of a one and done. But with a show, it's like an endless, every week you grow with these characters. Like Avatar: The Last Airbender when I was in high school. That was, so that's the big thing now all of a sudden. Like it's on Netflix and people are obsessed with it. But when I was in high school, I would lock myself in my room when it aired. And like, I mean, that was my jam. So yeah, like that type of a show where the characters grow every week and like a new story happens and there's cliffhangers, the like adrenaline rush you get from like that new episode coming on, you know, you can't do that with movies. And that's what I want to do. I want to make people so excited about next week, you know?
Yeah, that's really an interesting way to put it, because I know like right now, especially with streaming services, like that whole like episodic character arc is like back in a big way, where like back in, you know, like even like 5 or 6 years ago or a little longer than that, you know, every episode would stand alone. There really wouldn't be too much of a character arc on a lot of these shows. But now with Netflix, people binge shows. They binge it all immediately. So in a way, like most shows that come out now have like a really big kind of satisfying character arc throughout, like BoJack Horseman or like, you know, F is for Family or something like that. Even kid shows like that one where that girl goes into her dreams or her imagination or something. I forget what that one's called, where she has the red hair. That one, it was really good. I watched like 3 episodes of it. But I think it's on Netflix.
It's like she's a new girl in town or an Irish girl or something.
Something like that. I can't quite recall it. But yeah, like I think the story arc and the character arc is back in a big way like nowadays. So I think it's opening opportunity to tell longer stories with more satisfying arcs.
Yeah, even like you're right about the Netflix thing where people just binge seasons now, which even that to me is more of an adrenaline rush than watching a movie. Like a movie's great, but it's over, you know? Like I feel like even if you binge a whole season, there's still that hope for a season 2, you know what I mean? I mean, there's I don't know.
No, yeah,
television. That like when you do an episode, if you don't really like it, you're like, the next one will be better.
Yeah, and plus like with TV, I feel like you can make fillers about it. You can make there's like there's always an ending with a movie. I feel like there's always like an ending. And there's just so much more, I feel like, story opportunity with TV. That's probably why I like it better. I don't know.
Yeah, like shows from back in the day that they had that were really popular that they're revisiting like now, like their sitcoms and stuff that they're revisiting now, and then they're continuing the stories, you know, because that's just
with like so much shows, like so much television from the 90s and even the late 80s or early 2000s is like being brought back right now. So you got like live action shows like Roseanne and Mad About You and all that stuff, but also like animation as well. Like they did the Hey Arnold thing a few years ago. Yeah. They did Rocco's thing. They did the Invader Zim thing. I heard rumors of them doing like a Rugrats thing as well. I don't know if that's true or not.
They are working on Rugrats. I can confirm that because I know people on it.
Oh,
a while ago too. It's true. Wow.
Is it like a movie like they did with Harold and Zim and Rocco?
I'll tell you later. I can't do it on air.
Okay.
I can.
Just whisper it in Lauren's ear through the
email.
Will do.
Sorry, go ahead, Sabrina.
When did you realize that you could do animation as a career? Because I'm pretty sure that was something that was like, you know, always a question for you when you were little, right? Because we're not taught that, at least at our age, we weren't back then. That's
a good question. Like, I think I realized I could do it as a, wow, this is a really funny answer I'm going to give you. Okay, no one's ever asked me this before. I've never actually told people this. Okay, so when I was a freshman in high school, maybe a sophomore, I was like on vacation in Florida or something, and we're eating breakfast, and the Captain Crunch box said like that there was this big contest for a Nickelodeon contest for Danny Phantom, and you have to like draw a ghost, and whoever like enter the ghost, and if you win, you get flown out to the studio and you meet Butch Hartman and all this stuff. And I'm like, whoa, I want to go to Nickelodeon. And I was like, you know, I'm still like, I'm like old at this point, but I'm still like this like secret child or whatever. And I'm like, I want to go to the studio, whatever. So whatever, you know, I drew a ghost or whatever, and I sent it in. It was terrible. It never in a million years would win. But that kind of gave me the opportunity, and I wasn't even watching Danny Phantom, by the way. I didn't really even know what it was. I just wanted to go to Nickelodeon. But that kind of gave me the opportunity to kind of research Nickelodeon and be like, whoa, like this is a place where people work, and like they draw things and they make cartoons here. Like I was kind of processing it, realizing this isn't, you know, Nickelodeon, they don't just like shit out cartoons and this magic cloud. Like there's humans doing it at this place. And it kind of didn't hit me till I was like 13 or 14 or whatever. So I started watching Danny Phantom after that Captain Crunch box, which I still have the Captain Crunch box. Like I guess sort of, there's something wrong with me if I still have that.
That's crazy.
I hold on to memories like a weirdo. But anyway, I got obsessed with Danny Phantom and became like this. My whole like I realized I wanted to work at Nickelodeon officially after kind of watching Danny Phantom and being like, I want to work on that show. Like I want to go to that studio. And I was like, I'm not going to win this fucking ghost contest, but I want to go there. So I kind of just became obsessed with figuring out how to get in the studio one day. And I did. I actually did. Well, it took me a while, though. It took me a while.
Yeah, so let's take us on that journey of how you figured that out. So, were you somebody who like always drew all the time, or was that something that like did you draw since a young age, or is that something that came later?
That's the thing. Like, it's funny you mentioned that because it's interesting. Like, I have always drawn my whole life, but I was never interested in becoming a great artist. I was only interested in telling the story and like developing characters, creating character chemistry, personalities, like making worlds, just being a creator. And the whole like sit down, learn the construction of a head and draw a hand, that shit bored me to death, to the point where I never really learned how to draw well. And like, you know, if you watch my videos, like the drawings aren't horrible, but you could tell I'm not qualified to be an artist in the industry at this point. Like I could draw to make cartoons, like funny doodly cartoons. But I'm not a great drawer. So like, I hate telling people I've been drawing my whole life because they probably think I'm so good at drawing when I'm horrible. I'm not, you know, I'm not like stick figure level. I can draw, but you know, I doodle because all I care about, like, honestly, is like the ideas of it all and creating and the actual.
You're a pure cartoonist.
Yeah.
Like I'm a creator at heart. Like I love.
Yeah.
The thing that makes me so happy is sitting in a writer's room with a bunch of talented people, just bouncing ideas off each other and making worlds, and like, oh, like that's my jam.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm under the impression that, you know, a good story is a good story, whether it's told with like highly rendered, you know, realistic characters or stick figures. If it's a good story, it's you know, it pulls the viewer in, and it, you know, engages you regardless of how you choose to tell that story. You know, I think it seems like you're a storyteller first and foremost, you know. But, you know, in the beginning when we told stories, we just told them around a campfire as cavemen, like you or whatever, you know. We didn't have you know, television or anything like that, just cave drawings, and it still worked.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a good point. I never thought of that. Yeah. And like, that's what you're saying is so true, because the YouTube community that I'm in right now is living proof of that, because a lot of people in the community, it's called like the Storytime animation community, the sort of genre I'm in on YouTube. You know how there's like niches in every, like in YouTube. This is the storytime animation community that I'm in, and like basically there are people in this community that draw like literal stick figures types of art, and you know, like Swoozy is a good example. He's a really big YouTuber. And I think he has like 6 million subscribers or something like that. I have no idea, but something huge. And he started out by drawing basic stick figures, and people loved him because his stories and the way he executed, the way he told his stories were just so funny and had so much personality. So like, it's just like what you said. It's like you can draw like caveman drawings. It's the execution of the story that matters. Yeah.
For sure, and I think part of the benefit of, just drawing like stick figures or simplified characters is you can, do more content than if you're doing like a highly rendered frame by frame, like television level animation,
Yeah, that's exactly that's why I'm kind of learning that too. I mean, I've like that's the good thing about working in production at Titmouse Inc. for 4 years or so. I worked there as a coordinator, and I learned a lot about, like, when I used to sit in the background meetings and stuff, how can we reuse this background? Let's not have that many one-off backgrounds. And like that's another cool thing about TV is trying to fit it all in a tight schedule and hitting those small deadlines. I learned all that before I became a YouTuber. So I'm thinking, okay, I don't want to draw, like, I can't have 20 backgrounds per video. Like, I have to keep it down to a certain number. And it comes down it's almost like a mathematical thing at the end of the day. Like,
yeah. It's really interesting because, I work in production as well. I don't work on the art end of things. And that's pretty much, me and the coordinators that I work with, that's our daily life, figuring out how to make the show cheaper and faster and hit our deadlines, like cutting back character angles, cutting back, scenes from the boards that use a special pose that we don't need, or like a weird background that doesn't make any sense. So like, that's what we do every single day. And it's interesting that you take those skills that you learn as a coordinator and kind of integrate them into your own work. Because if, let's say, you just jumped in at raw without ever working in animation first, you might be like, killing yourself trying to do all these new drawings and stuff without knowing how to do it economically, so it was kind of good to have that experience. I guess it was, invaluable to have that experience first. But before we get to like all this YouTube stuff, which is going to be like really interesting to get to, I'm curious how you got to. You said you were on Titmouse for 4 years. So how did you?
College years.
What was that?
Let's move before that. Like, what was high school, like the end of high school, and then like your college life? Let's go.
So tell us the day you were born and.
I have nothing interesting to say about high school. I was just a loser that drew cartoons really poorly, but had fun with that. I just kind of created doodles and hung out with my friends. High school, I have nothing. I don't know what to say about high school. What else? College?
Research like college and stuff.
What did you doodle in high school and middle school? Because I was notorious for doodling cows everywhere. Was there any like specific thing you doodled all the time?
Dude, I wish I was notorious for doodling cows. That's so much cool. I was literally all I drew was Kate and Kit. That's kind of all I drew up until YouTube. I'm obsessed with Kate and Kit. Like, that's my core like goal, is to like make that show. Whether it's on Nickelodeon one day or whatever, which is, crazy, but that, or if it's on YouTube or whatever, like my go-to is to create like kind of stories between Kate and Kit, like those two characters. But I'd rather it be cows. That's way cooler.
You can always change it. The executives might give you hi, I'm from Nickelodeon and I'll buy your show Kate and Kit, but the first thing I need you to do is turn them into cows.
I mean,
all the time.
I would give it a shot.
Yeah.
I actually started.
How'd you end up going out in LA for college?
Well, I was gonna say, after high school, I ended up starting at a community college. You might know it, Anthony. Brookdale Community College. You know Brookdale?
Yeah. 2 years at Brookdale. Hell yeah.
Me too. Did you do the digital animation program?
I I did not. No, I was into live action filmmaking, so I wasn't in. I always loved animation. I wasn't focused on it back then, so I got my associates in television production.
Oh, that's cool. I took a lot of television classes too. We might have even had the same. Did you have Chad Anderson?
Of course, yeah.
Oh God, me too. It's so funny.
I'm friends with Chad on Facebook.
Me too.
Yeah, he's I mean, I used to go to his poetry slams every Wednesday.
I went to one of those ones. Oh my God, this is so we're like meant to be best friends. Okay.
Hell yeah. Yeah, me and my friends used to go and like listen to his poetry stuff. I mean, we always thought he was like king of the hipsters, you know, because he was always like the coolest teacher who was like, "Come to my poetry slams, guys." And yeah, now I think he ended up marrying one of the women that was like in his poetry circle, and they have a kid now, which is pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I didn't really know what poetry slamming was. I did end up going to one of those. It was freaking intense. It was awesome.
Dude, you don't know how intense those. I went to maybe like 6 or 7 of them. Those guys like are like hardcore about like the cadence they have is like it's very strange. I've never experienced anything like that because I've never gone to one before. But it's always like the sun rises as I set, and then I look into the sky, and my mind is like some kind of. It's like I don't know how they all sound the same. But they're all like so. It's interesting.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
You know, like talk at one point, like a Jersey talk over here.
Yeah, Jersey.
Yeah, I went to community college, and actually it's funny because I was so naive in high school because I was always drawing and like I didn't have a lot of friends that were into cartoons. I actually didn't have any friends into cartoons. All my friends that I grew up with, the girls I grew up with were totally opposite of me. Like they were more girly girls, and I was like the tomboy, you know, person. Like sort of like closet nerd type of person, and but they kind of like I was like the outcast of the group, which they loved that about me. 'Cause they're like, let's change up our day, let's go to Lawrence, and experience life with this weirdo. But
house.
But my point is like I didn't realize how like not skilled I was at drawing, like because I drew so much, and I'm like oh, I could go to an art college, but I didn't realize you have to like really be like good to go to a really good art college. So I was like I did all this research on colleges, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go to Cal Arts. I'm just gonna go to Cal Arts, and then and I had a reality slapped right in the face. Like I had a nice fat reality check when I realized like how terrible I am at drawing, and I'm never getting into that school. So then once I realized I couldn't go to Cal Arts, I went to Brookdale. I did the 2 years community college, which was really informative. Honestly, the program at Brookdale, digital animation, was really good. I learned a lot there. You think community college is shit? Honestly, it's not shit. It was great.
Brookdale's great. It's actually the second ranked community college in the country.
Yeah, it's a really well-known school. I learned Photoshop. I learned After Effects. I learned a shitload there. And then I realized I want an internship at Nickelodeon. Like I got to get in that studio, and that was my dream. And I was like, I need to get into a college. Like I need to get into an art college. And Art Institute doesn't really care if you're a good artist. They just take you if you like art and you want to be an animator. So I'm like, AI will take me. So I went to AI. I got in. Everyone gets in.
They'll tell you, oh, let's see your portfolio, and then they'll let you know if you're accepted or not.
Yeah, that was funny because I was actually nervous, and I had nothing to be nervous about, but at the time I didn't know that. Yeah, for those watching, Nick and Sabrina also went there. That's how I know them. So we are joking about AI because we know it's kind of like you can get in there whether you're good or bad, like honestly. So I got in there, and but before I got in there, I was applying. Like I wasn't gonna go to college in California unless I got an internship there at Nickelodeon. So I was kind of waiting until I got an internship at Nickelodeon, and I applied, and I got rejected from Nickelodeon right away. then I applied like again, and I got on the first round of phone interviews. Then I got rejected. My heart was ripped in half. It was like a bad breakup. And then I applied for like the third time, and I'm like, here's the thing. Like, I was telling my friends, like, I'm just going to keep applying until I'm 90 years old. Like, they're going to accept. So the third time I applied, when I get my heart set on something, I usually kind of get it, because I'm like obsessive. Like, I'll be persistent until I get it. So that's kind of how I was with Nickelodeon. That's how I was with YouTube too, but with Nickelodeon, I'm like, what do I need to do to stand out? There's like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people applying. Like, how do I get this internship out of all these other people that have internship experience? Like, I didn't have that much experience. So I ended up literally, like, I was emailing back and forth with HR at Nickelodeon. I remember saying, you know, if I'm in the area, like, I'd love to just, like, you know, meet you. And so I'm like, if I can meet them in person, they'll know I'm not crazy. They'll know I'm a nice person. Like, maybe if we see each other face to face, they'll get me in. I don't know.
Yeah. Wait, were you in LA at this point while you were applying, or were you still in New Jersey?
I was in Jersey, so all my interviews for Nickelodeon were Skype calls.
Oh.
Like, I would do a phone interview, and that was the first round, and the second round of interviews would be a Skype session. Mm-hmm. So I did that. Man, it was on a show that got canceled pretty quickly. It was called like Monsters and Aliens or something.
Yeah, Monsters and Aliens.
Oh yeah, that was based on the DreamWorks movie.
On the DreamWorks movie, yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't even realize that. Yeah, so that's the show I interviewed for. I got rejected on, and then the third time I was like, I can't just apply. I gotta like do something different.
Yeah.
And that's one thing, like, I have like an ADHD type of mind, which like really sucks sometimes, but it comes in handy when I want something. I think of all these like creative ways of like, how can I get it? So I'm like, maybe if I like send HR like a fruit package or something, like, and like send them like a thank you so much for, you know, like, I'm like, no, that's stupid.
Not bad.
So I realized like I gotta somehow like be in that area. It's not helping me that I'm from Jersey. Like, it's not helping me that I'm so far away.
Yeah.
So it's just such a crazy story. I was taking an online class with Steven Silver at the time. I was taking his character design class that he had on schoolism.com. I don't even know if schoolism is still a thing or not. Probably is.
I don't know.
I just know Steven Silver was in the booth next to us at ToonCon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's a cool guy.
He's so awesome. Yeah. And so I was taking his class because I was trying to get better, and I said to him like, hey Steven, like if you have any tips or advice, blah 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 blah, let me know. I'm really trying to get an internship at Nickelodeon. Would love to come to California, you know, and see it there, but I'm in Jersey, so you know, whatever. I sent him an email, and he sent back. He's like, "That's great, blah blah blah. If you're ever in the California area, let me know, and we'll go out to lunch." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Really?" And I'm like, "Whoa, like that's so cool." So I ended up saying to my brother, I'm like, "Do you want to go to California just to go out to lunch with Steven Silver?" So me and my brother went to California together, and I don't think Steven even knows this, but I was like, yeah, I'm going to be in California around this time, actually, like coincidentally. And
coincidence.
So I said to HR and Nickelodeon, I'm like, I'm going to be in California at this time, like, you know, would love to meet you guys in person, and you know, blah, blah, blah. And since I got rejected like 3 times at that point, they knew me. Like, at that point, they're like, sure, like, love to meet you. So my plans were go to California, shake HR's hand at Nickelodeon, and then, you know, like, meet Steven Silver and get some advice from him. And I did that. And I went to California, and Steven Silver, like, invited me to his house, and I had dinner with him and his family. Like,
wow.
Yeah, like, he was my biggest inspiration, Steven, because he was just the nicest guy ever, like, allowed me to like believed in me so much where he invited me over and like, you know, just straight up like just gave me so much advice and so much just so much support. And then his wife is one of my good friends now. His wife is so sweet, and basically it was just like a couple of hours of just like so much like advice that he gave me. And then a few days after that, I went to Nickelodeon and met with HR and like talked about the internship. And it's crazy that I like my parents thought I was nuts. Like, you're gonna spend like $400 to shake somebody's hand, but I did. And then I came back. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, people are scared to take risks and spend all that money for something. But guess what? I ended up getting the internship that time after I met.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
What made it different that time? That you think you met them in person and you actually got to see them face to face? Is that what made the difference, you think?
I do think so, because I mean, I don't know for sure, but after working in the industry myself, like, I became a coordinator at Titmess, and I was hiring interns and interviewing them and calling them, and I became that person. So I know that there were people that if I knew, like, if I met them before, I was like, oh, I like that girl, or like, oh, I like that kid. It does help a lot to, if you're, you know, I knew if they met me, instead of it just being emails, like, they could see my bubbly, like, personality and how, like, excited and passionate I am about the company, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, but, for sure. I mean, your passion's going to show in person more than through words.
Yeah, it doesn't show through emails, though. It is important, and to show them also, when I got there, I actually drew them this like really cute like fan art Nickelodeon picture, and I printed it out, like laminated it, and I gave it to the HR there, and they freaking loved it. And I'm like, ooh, they like it. Yes.
Nice. What was in the picture?
Clever.
So I actually drew. You'd think I draw Nickelodeon characters like a smart person. I actually drew Kate and Kid, which is so stupid. They have no idea what that is.
Right.
I drew my characters, and I drew the big, you know, when Nickelodeon used to have the big foot outside of their studio back in the day. That's what they had, the foot when I visit. So I drew like the big foot. I drew the studio. I made it cool, and I drew my characters. I'm like, these are my characters, you know, whatever.
That's great.
That's my way too exaggerated long story.
Well, that's fantastic. So you actually got to be, you're friends with Steven Silver and his family. That's pretty fantastic. I mean, back when I was in New Jersey, just kind of, you know, I'm still a nobody, but like when I was like an actual nobody over there, just kind of, you know, kicking shit around, me and my friends would study Steven's designs on our own, just to kind of learn how to do character design. This is when I was like 21 and 22, when he was doing Kim Possible and stuff. And we're like, oh shit, these designs are amazing. Let's break them down. Let's figure out how he did them. So, you know, you actually took action. You're like, yo, Steven, I'm going to chill with you, which is pretty fantastic. You know?
Well, it's interesting because it came from you saw schoolism, right? That's what you said. You took classes and stuff, and that was an online thing. So that's a good thing for people out there to know, that if you can't be in LA, there's a lot of online sources that are held by people like Steven Silver that you can research and take part in. So
yeah,
there's so many ways to talk to people that you think are like too big to talk to. It's ridiculous. Like, there's so many little avenues that if you did like a little bit of research and effort, you can get what you want. You know, it's not, our industry's so small, and there's so many good people, this kind, awesome, like willing to help people in our industry, that, I mean, I didn't think Steven Silver was going to be nice enough to say that. Like, that guy is just ridiculously nice. But that's part of like the luck part. Like, there's always a little luck involved, and I was lucky that Steven Silver is a super nice guy. Like, if he wasn't, I wouldn't have gotten as far as I've gotten. But that's where the luck part comes.
Like, your story, Lauren's story, is a perfect example of almost everything I talk about in the podcast. Simply saying, like, you took the initiative of taking a class to educate yourself. It wasn't a big college. It was just like, Steven Silver does the work. I want to find out how they do the work too. That already gave you and Steven was like, oh, I'm sure, I'll help him out. Let's get lunch. Lunch doesn't cost anything. It's literally like, hey, how's it doing? If you have any questions or information, we can impart that. One. Step 2, you were persistent on Nickelodeon. You sent a couple of emails out, didn't go your way. You didn't let that give up, but you also weren't like, man, they're not my request. They must hate me. They're all terrible people. It's like, no, people get busy. Maybe you're not right for the role. A lot of factors go in there. But like what you also ran into was the other thing I've told people on this podcast is the fact that the little known secret is they often don't hire people who are not local. It sucks, but it's the case because of the very thing you ran into. They don't know you. They'd rather see your face and learn, is this a psychopath or not? Less of a gamble for them.
And then
so they found out later. But like, you hit all the bells that were necessary for you to get your foot in the door and to make those connections, and like that's it. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, dude. Like, I love that you're validating what I did, because I know a lot of people think it's crazy, but
you gotta be a little crazy, honestly. Maybe it is, but
it's crazy.
Sometimes you gotta do that, to get to where you need to be or you want to be. And the big thing is, you took a risk, and the risk paid off, and you got risk to get rewards.
You also luckily had the opportunity to be able to afford to take Steven Silver's classes and to get a plane ticket over to LA. Like, those are also huge opportunities that you had, but you took advantage of. So kudos.
And the thing is, that's another thing I hear a lot about, because I get a lot of emails and stuff too. When I was working at Titmouse, because I have a LinkedIn, and people will message me on there sometimes and be like, "How did you become a coordinator?" Or even with YouTube, "How did you become a YouTuber?" And I'm always willing to help because of the people that have helped me in the past, and I want to give that back tenfold because I'm so grateful for the people like Steven Silver helping me. But I don't even know. I forgot. I kind of forgot what the fuck I was. What was the point? Oh, shit.
That we're all
just like
you took risk.
The opportunity. Yeah.
Shit. No, I had a point, but it's gone.
Like you said earlier, it's luck. Luck has a lot to do with it too. I always tell people, I just got lucky. I was lucky I was born in this city, and I could take a class at Otis.
Yeah,
I think
that's what it was. I was at my point. I remembered. It's a lot of people say to me when they email me, like, "Oh, I would, but I don't have the money to do that or whatever." I didn't have the money. I was a kid. I was a teenager or 20 or something like that. My money was from my part-time jobs. I worked at Pizza Hut and I was a lifeguard at the same time. And my money was my own money I made from my jobs. So that's another thing. There really is no excuse. I'm pulling a Gary V now, but there really is no freaking excuse. There's always a way. And especially in this industry, if you're interested in this industry, you're lucky because it's even easier to get in, because there's so many willing people to help in this industry.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's definitely a mix of a little bit of luck, but persistence and skill. Skill, persistence, and luck. Those three things are going to play a big part in you getting where you need to be.
Yeah, I mean, I heard you saying, Sabrina, too. It's definitely not mainly luck, because you have to make your own luck too. I took Steven's classes, you know what I mean? If it wasn't for me taking his class, the whole thing wouldn't have happened. But I also got lucky that Steven was a nice guy, because he could have just not, he could have been yeah, you'll do it one day, but he's like, if you're.
I think it's also even if you didn't meet Steven, you also have to kind of tell yourself, and you have to tell the world too, you don't have to meet a Steven to make your dreams happen. You know what I mean? There's countless of different ways and paths that you can hop on, or that'll come your way, and you don't know it or you don't see it coming, but it'll happen. It's things like that. It's taking action where you're still learning and you're active too. The internet is a blessing in that sense, where we can post our work all the time, and that's how we gain eyes, and that's how we also make connections and stuff,
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing. If you're putting yourself out there, you're creating your own luck that way. People might contact you, or you'd be surprised, if you're doing everything that you can, there will be an opportunity,
So, out of curiosity, you had this internship at Nickelodeon. first, before we get into what happened after that, what were you doing at Nickelodeon as an intern? What was your job there? What did they make you do? Was it like getting coffee, making copies, or was it what exactly? Was it any art stuff?
No, Nickelodeon didn't let you draw anything. Probably some like union thing, I don't know. But we weren't allowed to touch the draw anything as interns. But no coffee or anything like that. Thank God. We did some pretty cool stuff there. I worked on Kung Fu Panda, the show. You guys remember Kung Fu Panda: The Legend of Awesomeness?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Doing the karate. I freaking loved that show. Before I was an intern on it, it was such a blessing I got on that show because I fucking love that show. I almost like it a little more than the movie. I don't even know. But anyway, maybe
you're always shows over movies. That's what we're learning about you.
No, movies were freaking amazing too. But what did I do? Oh God, so long ago. I remember doing things like organizing files in their like file maker system, and I would help. I remember like creating model sheets for their like set like background characters and stuff, like just dragging and dropping and basically
a lineup for the incidentals and stuff like that.
Oh right, the incidentals. That's the word. I remember. Yeah. Basic stuff like that. And then they had us do a lot of really fun stuff too. Like we had like just meetings with the executives and stuff. Like we had a meeting with Butch Hartman, how to create a show, and like we had a lot of really cool like event stuff too.
Really cool. And did that transition right into your job at Titmouse, or was there time in between?
Well, Nickelodeon. After that, after I met Sabrina, I'm like, you work at Cartoon Network, or you were a PA there when I met you, right?
I kind of just started working there as a production assistant. I started out as an intern on Adventure Time, and then I became a production assistant on Uncle Grandpa.
Yeah.
And then around the time that we met, and then you told me about your internship.
Yeah, which I was like, I thought was the coolest thing. I'm like, dude, you have a freaking job at Cartoon Network? What?
And it was through the same route that you took. That you were taking.
Yeah, I remember us like.
Oh, sorry, I was gonna ask, was this internship like through your school? So you were able to get the internship because you were at AI or IA, whatever it is?
No, so where I got the idea was Nick was actually the very first person that we all knew that got an internship at Cartoon Network, and then I just followed suit. And Nick literally just like went online and just saw that you could apply, and all they needed to know was that you're going to college and everything. And so he did it, and then he got an internship, and I was like, all right.
Gotcha. So you just looked for it and you found it and you applied. It wasn't like Art Institute was like, hey, we're gonna back you up for this or anything.
No, they didn't
know
crap about it.
Okay.
Nothing about it.
Actually, Art Institute would hit us up like, could you give me any advice on getting students internships?
They wouldn't do any of that for me. I want you to know, like, even after my internship at Cartoon Network, our college still like refused to like talk to me about anything like professional related.
Not surprising.
They didn't, like, even after I told like the HR department, like, hey, I interned over here. Would you like to help set something up, maybe, And they were like, nope, no interest.
I got they like left me a message once and said like, look, if you could give us some advice, we don't know how you're getting these internships, but it's like fucking AI.
So because we did have a teacher that was connected to Nickelodeon, Aglaya. You remember Aglaya, right?
Yeah, that name's so familiar. Oh yeah, the name's so familiar as heck.
It was Marcheva, right, Nick? Aglaya.
Wait, I know who that is. Yes.
Yeah, she was a character design teacher. She worked at Nickelodeon, and she was close friends with the producer on Uncle Grandpa, Rosie. Yeah, so she was close friends with her, and then our producers, Rosie's husband worked at Disney, and then we had that demo reel competition that Steven Silver was at. Do you remember that demo reel competition?
The one that got him into that.
Yeah, so that was all those connections really helped in the long run, because when I met Rosie for that interview, I told her about all of these like connections and everything. So like they did have some good connections at that school. Just, you know, I don't know what was going on there. There was just some disconnect.
It's just fun to bash the school because it's kind of almost like
gone.
It's gone. It doesn't matter anymore.
I know the three of us used to like just talk so much shit about the school together. Like
even while you were there.
Oh, way more when we were there.
People would like protest weekly. Like,
it was anyway. Sorry to anyone that like worked at the school, and like I don't want to insult anybody. It's more.
Just got out of it what you needed to get out of it, you know. As maybe.
No, this is what the podcast is.
Well, what did help was you needed college credits to get the internship. So getting the internship was all our own like persistence. But we couldn't actually have the internship unless we had college credits. So yeah. So anyway, yeah. So Sabrina, I forgot you interned there too, Nick. Jeez, it's crazy. So yeah, Sabrina. I said, "Do you have any advice for me?" Blah blah blah, whatever. And she's like, "Apply online." And I actually think I ended up somehow like luckily, like the luck came in a little bit, getting your show.
Yeah, well, like, I don't even know how, but the Cartoon Network, how the HR department will give specific people to certain shows, and I don't know if it's because I was from AI and they knew, so they gave some AI students over to our show. And I saw her name in the batch of interviews that we were gonna, like, of people that we were gonna interview. And I was like, oh my God, yay. And then I did tell her, like, because obviously, like, I was friends with her. We weren't, like, super close, but I knew of her. She also, like, Lauren, like, again, this is a big deal. Like, she has a fucking great personality, and that was what made her stood out at the time. And I was like, hell yeah, I can imagine having so much fun with her, like, having her as my intern and everything. That'd be so great. So yeah, we did interview everyone, and it's not that like I played favoritism or anything. Like she literally just aced the interview with us. Like she just, you know. And then I also knew that we had like I knew your knowledge already because we went to the same school, so I like knew you were perfect with the program.
When you're in a room with Lauren, you know you're in a room with Lauren.
Yeah.
That could be such a bad thing.
No.
Like, I'm probably very loud and cursing, or like.
You're smart, Lauren. You're really smart. You were really good at what you did.
Oh, you're so cute. I love you. Thank you.
So wait, did you intern at Cartoon Network after Nickelodeon?
Yeah, I did.
That was the show Sabrina. What show was that with Sabrina?
It was a pilot, right? The pilot?
No, it wasn't it was the actual show.
Oh, it was? Oh shit, I don't know.
What show was it?
Uncle Grandpa?
Oh.
Yeah. Well, Grandpa had a lot of seasons, right? Jeez, I feel like it
I
did.
think it was just 3.
3 or 4, maybe.
I think it was 3.
3? Yeah, that sounds right.
I used to love that pilot. If it was the pilot, I never really watched the show, but I loved the pilot. I watched it on repeat.
She fit right in too, because a lot of the people that worked on that show actually came from Nickelodeon shows. Like I know a lot of people came from SpongeBob on that show. So like fit in with the vibe really well.
Yeah, for sure. Interesting. So how did you transition from doing an internship at Nickelodeon, jumping to an internship at Cartoon Network with Sabrina and with Nick, and then were you still in school at this time? You were, right? This entire time?
Yeah, you couldn't do the internship without being in college.
Cool. And how did you go from your first actual job over at wherever it was, Titmous or whatever it was after college?
After I graduated college, oh my God, such a stressful time because I didn't know if I was gonna stay living in LA where all the opportunity was, or if I was gonna go home and find something in New York, which didn't have as much opportunity. And I was also the dude I'm married to right now. I was dating him long distance, so me and him were dating long distance for like, oh my God, 2 years or something while I was in LA.
Yeah.
So it was just a very stressful time. Like I didn't know if I should stay in LA, continue long distance, or go home and find something in New York. But I knew I loved LA. I just loved California. I loved like the studios, and I loved like, you know, like being around people like you guys who understand the culture and understand like the studios and the vibe and everything. So it was really stressful, but I ended up just shooting out. I remember actually one of my industry friends told me about Titmouse a few days before I graduated. I didn't even know what Titmouse was. And they're like, I just got an internship at Titmouse. I'm like, what the fuck is Titmouse? Like, it sounds like such a weird name. And he's like, they let you draw at Titmouse, like as an intern, because like Nickelodeon Cartoon Network didn't let you do that. But Titmouse was like a more of a laid back, smaller company. And they let you actually like draw stuff for the shows, which is really cool. I'm like, ooh, that sounds like a cool place. So I just applied there. I just sent my resume in and I applied online.
Or as a PA or what?
For a PA job, because I was graduating at that time.
Okay.
So I was like, I'm gonna apply for a PA job, and that was another thing that me and Sabrina both agreed on was you can, get your foot in the door by becoming a PA, which is what I was kind of doing. 'Cause I didn't know what I wanted to do in the industry. Like I knew I wanted to create a show, but I didn't know how to start because I wasn't super talented at drawing itself. But then how do I like show that I'm a good creator and a good storyteller? It was very confusing. So I was really stressed out, and I'm like, maybe if I started in production, learned how to make the actual cartoons, that would be good for me. So go ahead. Sorry.
Oh yeah, like that was perfect for you.
Yeah, and like you are an artist now, Sabrina. Like you do. Are you working right now, like doing art?
Yeah, I've been in it for a bit.
And you started as a PA, and like people don't realize like you can start in production. If you're actually passionate about learning the production, like learning how to make cartoons, learning the behind the scenes. Like if you're just gonna try and become a PA just to get into the artist, that's kind of screwed up because you don't want to like that was like another issue. Like when I was hiring like people, people would say in interviews like, oh, I just want to be an artist, so I'm going to start as a PA. I'm like, no, you're not, because we want somebody that's actually like
gonna work.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, especially a PA in the animation industry does like a little bit of everything. Like they need to be focused, they need to be on call all the time, they need to be ready to do whatever the hell there is to do. You know, I mean, that's in my opinion, like I didn't start as a PA, I started as a coordinator, but the PAs that I work with and the PAs that I help hire over at Starburns, I really depend on them so much. Like there's so many little things, so many gaps they fill in, and it's a great position to learn a little bit of every part of the pipeline. Like every little pipeline, the pipeline's super complicated. There's a lot of steps, and as a PA, you learn a little bit of all of it, which is really helpful.
Yeah, and I feel like everyone should start as a PA, because even artists, like even artists that I've worked with, they struggle sometimes with organizing like what scenes they're gonna do first, or like kind of a structure, to have a structure of like what to prioritize. And I feel like if you had more production knowledge, you would be able to kind of knock that out a little better.
It's not a PA because like there's a lot of artists who don't have a good organizational brain, which is you're alluding to. Definitely internships. I wish they would have stronger internships. So like you gotta learn the terminology, the proper kind of like order of production, who to address to and who gets what. And then you move up to being a storyboard artist, background artist, lead designer, whatever. That's the stuff.
That would be great.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, awesome. If you just jump in without knowing any of this stuff, obviously you can learn on the job, which I did in my first job, but it really helps to know like, oh, what a supervising director does. Oh, what a storyboard artist does. What a design coordinator does. Like it helps to know what all these people do and who you should be reporting to and stuff.
And another important thing about that, if you would proper kind of like guidance and mentorship, you learn like what is reasonable to ask of those jobs and those roles too, so you're not exploited for later.
Yeah, for sure. If you don't know, you can ask the wrong thing.
Yeah, it's always good for like a family of people working together, like to know what everyone does, so they can all like respect what each other does and not get too angry at somebody for if this person's not taking too long to answer them or whatever. I think it's good to have an understanding of what everybody does. But yeah.
I mean, it needs to run like clockwork. You know, everybody on the production is like a gear in the machine, and the PA is kind of like the grease that keeps it moving. You know, they're needed to keep everything kind of moving smoothly. You know, so I think it's
greasy PAs.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But they touch every gear as they go through. You know.
Yeah, exactly. And like I didn't know what to expect. Like I knew I just wanted to learn how to make cartoons, and I didn't know how I was gonna fit in. But I applied for a PA job online with Titmouse in New York, because I was like, oh, there's one in New York. All right, I'll try that. And I did not think in a million years they were gonna call me. I really didn't. I just sent it. And a month later, a month after I graduated, I got a call from HR in New York, and they called me in for an interview at Titmouse, and I went and I got it. I still can't believe I got it. It's crazy.
So you were interning you were PAing in New York.
Yeah, assistant.
So you moved. So after college, you moved right back to New Jersey.
Back to Jersey. Jersey.
Nice. Cool. So what show were you on at Titmouse?
I started on China, Illinois. Do you guys remember that show?
Of course. Brad Neely was one of my faves. He still is. Yeah, it's show's great.
Yeah, he's super funny. Yeah, it was season 3, so it was the last season that I thank God I could work on that show. I love that show. It's so funny.
Fantastic. And did you move up from PA to coordinator relatively quickly?
What happened? Jeez.
I want to get to the good YouTube stuff, so.
Sorry. Oh my God, I'm so slow.
No, it's okay. How are you?
I went. Please, like, feel free to just tell me to like hurry the fuck up.
No, we want to hear it all.
No, I did a season of China, Illinois, and then after that, wow, I don't even fucking remember. I think I worked. Oh my God, I worked at a visual effects studio after that as a coordinator. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Zoic.
I know Zoic.
You know Zoic?
A buddy of mine works there. Yeah, he used to work there back in the day.
Me too. I was like the 3rd or 4th employee in the New York office. So I don't know. They like just opened up in New York. I think they're like super established in LA. But
yeah, definitely. Because I think Zoic did. Maybe they worked on Lost, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh my God, I don't know, but I fucking love Lost.
Okay.
Did they? Jesus,
They might have back in the day, yeah. Because that's how I know my buddy worked on like the last few seasons.
They might have. That sounds familiar. I wish I worked on that show. Okay. I go off and just ramble. I don't know what I'm saying. Oh yeah. So I worked as a coordinator at a visual effects house, which is, oh my God, so much more stressful than an animation studio. Jesus. It was so stressful. I didn't like working in a visual effects company. Everything's like.
Why was it so much stressful? Oh, just more fast paced?
Oh my God, the deadlines are so tight. I literally worked OT every single day, and it was mandatory OT. It was crazy. I got paid really well there, but the OT was not worth it. I actually ended up like quitting there. And I let Titmouse know, I'm like, hey, I don't know if there's any more shows, but I was a coordinator for this amount of time here, so I don't know if you're looking for coordinators. So they ended up hiring me as a coordinator because I had coordinator experience at the visual effects.
Oh, I see. That makes sense. So you jumped from Titmouse PA coordinator at the VFX studio and back to coordinator over at Titmess.
Yeah. And then I don't know if you guys ever heard of Cartoona, but that's a really small studio in Brooklyn.
Cartoona.
It's super small, fairly new. They do like a lot of social media stuff. But
how do you spell it?
CAR.
Is it TUNA or TOONA?
TU, like tuna.
Oh.
I don't know. So like I went from like Titmouse to Zoic to Titmouse to Cartoona back to Titmouse, and that was it. And then I did Titmouse for a few years after that.
What were the shows you worked on at your last stint at Titmouse?
Oh man, I worked on Nico and the Sword of Light.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Super cute. I worked on Home with the DreamWorks like TV.
Wasn't that on Nickelodeon, or was that on Netflix or something?
Netflix.
That was also originally a DreamWorks movie as well with Rihanna.
Oh, right, yeah, for sure. Usually those shows go to Nickelodeon, but I guess that one went to DreamWorks.
That's when DreamWorks made their break with Nickelodeon around that time.
I see. Cool. Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. So,
I don't even know. Shit. Zorn. You guys ever hear Zorn and the
Zorn? Yeah.
Was that
Son of Zorn.
the live action hybrid?
Zorn and the son of, I don't know what I'm saying.
Son of Zorn, right?
Son of Zorn, yeah.
Son of Zorn, right, yeah. That was the live action hybrid.
Yeah, Phil Lord and Chris Miller produced it.
Yeah, that didn't do as well as I thought it was going to do. It seemed like it was lined up for success.
I thought it was.
I heard it got better later.
Yeah, it did. It was honestly, I thought it was such a good show. I don't even know if I'm biased because I worked on it, but I thought it was funny. It got canceled. I was pissed.
So you were a production coordinator on these shows?
Yeah.
Nice. And you were.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Sabrina.
I was just gonna say, I assume that helped you a crap ton as far as like your confidence in executing your own personal artwork, right?
Oh my god! If I didn't have experience in like an industry on how to make cartoons, everything like Titmouse does to make cartoons, I took and do it on my own cartoons because if I didn't learn that structure, oh man, I would not be. I could not make cartoons without a structure. There's no way.
Yes. So you take this pipeline that you learned over these was it 4 or 5 years working in the industry, right? Yeah. And you're like, all right, I'm going to take this and I'm going to shrink it down to my level that I need it, but I'm going to apply the same steps, and I'll do it on my own.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. So that brings us into the next phase. You're like, well, before we get into that, the next phase is this YouTube stuff, which you might have been doing this whole time. I don't know. We haven't really asked about that, but so you are doing your YouTube stuff just only right now, right? You're not still working at Titmouse?
No, I could not do both.
So was that a conscious choice to say, all right, I'm gonna focus on my YouTube cartoons for a little bit?
Yeah, Brian, you might like this story. So I was working at Titmouse for a while, and I could say I started getting, being there for a while, they expect me to do more work and sort of move up in the work, giving me different tasks, harder tasks and stuff.
Yeah.
I was kind of starting to do production manager, producer types of stuff. And I was I guess that was when I started to realize I was still a coordinator, but I was doing more work along those lines, starting to. And I was like, shit, this isn't what I want for my life. This isn't my goal. My goal was to work in the industry to learn how to make cartoons so I could make my own cartoons. And I loved being a production coordinator. I honestly thought it was so much fun.
Yeah,
I would rather be a production coordinator than an artist in the industry. I loved being a coordinator, running around to all the artists and the chaos. I loved it. But I still had these dreams of making people laugh and making my own cartoons and making jokes and having fun with my own doodles and stuff. So I ended up, talking to my boss, and after a good year of thinking about it, I quit Titmouse to take the risk of becoming a YouTuber full time. And it was really scary.
Nice, dude. Well, I want to hear all about, I'm sure we all do, and everybody that's listening wants to hear all about, the feelings that you had when you made this decision and how you were successful at doing it.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna try so hard to make this so not dragged out. So please stop me if I'm being I'm going off track. But basically, I was getting depressed. I was getting a little depressed at Titmouse because I was getting bored of. I felt like I learned everything I needed to learn, and I felt like I was almost doing. I wanted to keep growing creatively. I felt like I wasn't growing creatively anymore with the types of work I was doing, and the meeting as I was going in. I still loved my job, but it was I'm dragging it out already. Holy fucking shit.
Yeah. I just to kind of give people a little more context based on that jump you were expected to make. A production manager is no longer dealing with the creative side. You're dealing more with the budget of a production.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, because I loved being a coordinator, but then then I started getting, right, like you said, all creativity. I mean, I didn't have creative decision power at all anyway, but at least like I worked closely with the artists and I got to sit in all the like super creative meetings. But with production manager types of producer types of stuff, it's like really schedules and like money and like no offense, Anthony.
That's what I'm doing now. No, I'm right there with you. I always this is my first the last like 2 years I've transitioned from like coordinator to production manager. That was my journey over the last like 2 years. And like as I was making that transition, I was like, dude, I love being a coordinator way more. I love talking to the artists. I love working with the artists. Like you said, running around, figuring out, like breaking down the animatics, like figuring out everything that's needed. Like there's a certain skill set it takes to like talk to these artists correctly, because you don't want the stress to be on them. You want the stress to be on the production side of things. And it's a very nuanced line you need to walk in order to make this a smooth show for you, but more so for the artist to make it correct, to make the show actually the right show. You know, so that was like something I really loved doing. And now as like a producer, a production manager, like I'm transitioning into a producer role, like I'm like, fuck, I have to like make this whole schedule and figure out this budget. God damn it. Like, I mean, I'm getting good at it, but it's like, maybe I'll just fucking quit and make my own cartoon.
Nick, I mean, and Anthony's got the skill too, so don't sell himself short.
I was gonna say like, and don't be afraid to do YouTube at the side, because I was gonna say that's what I actually did too. But hold on, I want to say like I'm also honestly I don't feel like I'm capable of doing a production manager / producer's job, because I think that's a lot of it too. Like honestly, if I was good at it, if I was good at being more of a producer, I probably would have ended up doing that for a bit if I could. But I feel like my brain, like it doesn't work well with. I don't feel like I'm good at it. Honestly, I don't feel like I'm good at being a producer.
It's a very compartmentalized way of thinking, and you need to make sure you're like thinking like 5 steps ahead and like adding in all these like room for error and everything like that. So it's very certain type of brain.
And it sounds and it's fun for people that are good at it. But for me, like I noticed like what do I love about my job? And what I loved about my job was cracking jokes with the artists and meetings and like, you know, like having fun with all the artists and stuff, like kind of working closely with them, running around to them and like helping them out and working as a team. Like that's what I love. So
same.
And that's what I was good at. That's what my like personality thrives in is working with people and like having fun and kind of just getting the job done in like a chill, like fun way, and not, you know, if someone's stressed out, we cheer them up. But anyway, so I started realizing I think I need out of here. I think I need to do something creative. I don't know what to do because I'm not great at drawing, but I want to be creative and I don't know what to do. So I realized I went on YouTube, started watching YouTube like videos at work, and I found the community. That's where I found the community I'm in now. And I started watching their stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, like, this is what I wanted. I think this is a great avenue to show people like what I'm capable of, I guess, like in terms of like, you know, I feel like I have skill with like timing and you know, like hitting like the beats and like hitting a joke and like all stuff, expressions and like certain like voice recording and like all that story stuff. I feel like it's really hard for me to show that I'm good at that, but how do I show that? So I really, if I could put some shit on YouTube, maybe it would do well. I don't know. So Titmouse has this thing called 5 Second Day, and you guys ever hear of that?
Yeah, I used to go to it at the Egyptian.
Okay, yeah, it's the shit. For those of you who don't know, Titmess, it's like Titmouse's own holiday where they shut down all 3 of their studios. They have one in like New York, Vancouver, and LA. They shut them down for the whole day, and all the employees have to do, it's mandatory you have to create your own cartoon. And if you're not making a cartoon, then you have to work. And it's like, no, we're not gonna work. So they order pizza, like it's just like, it's so fun. And everyone in the studio is like, what should I do? And like, everyone's just having so much fun. So I decided, like, you know, to make a cartoon, obviously. And it was so cool. And I decided, like, to record my family, you know, Anthony, you'll know, like, crazy Italian Jersey families are nuts. And so I recorded my dad and my grandma, who my grandma is 101 right now. And they were sitting at the table and they started fighting about politics, because this was like when Trump was not even president yet, I think. I don't even remember, but Trump was getting involved or whatever. And my grandma hates Trump. My dad loves Trump. And I am like, don't get me involved with this shit. I don't want to talk about it. So I just hit record on my phone. I recorded the whole conversation. It was hilarious. My dad was like losing his temper. My grandma was like, nah, nah, nah. I ended up taking the audio, kind of mixing it, making it shorter. It was like an hour, and I made it into like 3 minutes or something. And I ended up animating it, and it was so freaking funny. And I showed it for 5 Second Day, and like everyone was like, "What? Like, you made this?" Because as a coordinator, they didn't know I could do that. You know, they thought I was just like, because a lot of the production people didn't do one. So anyway, the feedback I got from 5 Second Day gave me the confidence to like actually leave Titmouse and like make a YouTube channel.
They were like, ah, fuck.
We shouldn't have laughed so hard.
So then, yeah, and then yeah, I don't know. They gave me a lot of confidence. So I ended up like studying YouTube for like a good year while I was there, and seeing the community I wanted to go in, seeing like what works, what are the best of the best channels doing that I can like, you know, study and like take and make into my own. You know what I mean? Like, why is this person's channel so big? What are they, you know, I just started just studying the shit out of everyone. And I was like, you know, trying to see how I could fit in here. So basically, after I felt like I was really, really confident and I was ready to start this channel, I was like, okay, I need to pay my bills. So I got a part-time job while I was at Titmouse. I was applying for part-time jobs. So my salary was about to be like sliced, and
yeah, wow,
was about to make a lot less money. Like,
yeah, for sure. What kind of part-time jobs were you looking for? Like going back to like Pizza Hut stuff?
I was considering that, but I actually ended up getting a job as I used to work as a lifeguard for pools, like community pools,
yeah.
Indoor pools in the winter and then outdoor pools in the summer. So I did that for a long time when I was in high school. So I had like experience in that. And I'm like, I need a job where I can like work while I'm at work, but also have enough money. I mean, enough energy when I get home to work.
Yes.
With lifeguarding, when there's no one. So I'm like, the only job I could think of is lifeguarding, because when I'm at work at lifeguarding, no one's in the pool.
Yeah.
I go work on my cartoons. And then when I get home, all I did was sit around all day. I can stay up all night and work. You know, I wasn't running around busting my ass being a waitress or something.
Yeah, yeah.
That's smart.
Very smart.
Thanks. Yeah, and that I was really thankful that I had lifeguarding experience, because I'd probably never have like the balls to be a lifeguard if I didn't know what it was like already. Because you have to take a lot of training. Like, it's about like a 3 or 4 day weekend of just training of like, you go in the swimming pool, you have to swim a ton of laps, you have to get the brick from the bottom of the pool, like all this shit. Learn CPR. So it was a lot. But once I got certified and I got hours, I'm like, all right, it's time. I could barely afford my bills with this job, but I'm gonna do it. And my husband was like shitting his pants, obviously, this whole time. But luckily, we lived with his dad at the time, and we didn't have our own place yet, so the risk was a lot lower. So God, and then Titmouse is like, I love them so much. Like, they were like, you know, if it doesn't work out, you can always come back. So that was nice to know.
So you actually told Titmouse, you're like, so I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna try to have my own YouTube channel. I'm gonna see what happens. So I'm peacing. I'm gonna be a lifeguard. If it fails, I'll be back in 5 days or 5 months or something.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because we're so like family in the New York studio. Like, we're so close. I still talk to them. So like, I was just honest with them. I'm like, I don't feel like I can handle this job. Like, I really don't think I'm capable of doing this. I really think I need to be more creative. And so, yeah, they're like supportive. And that's
Cool.
that's how it began.
Did you start this YouTube channel with like a bunch of animated like cartoons in the queue, or did you just go with like one done, or how did you approach starting the channel?
That would have like been the smart thing to do. That would have been awesome if I did that, but I didn't. I didn't have any cartoons in the queue because I didn't have time. With Titmess was a lot of, like, I was doing a lot of work there. And I was commuting from Jersey, so I had a 2-hour commute there and a 2-hour commute home from New York. So yeah, and like on the bus.
Titmess. Where is it in the city, or is it in the like Manhattan?
Yeah, it's right across the street from Madison Square Garden. It's like right next to Penn Station.
Oh shit! So you could basically just take the NJ Transit right up.
I wish I didn't live next to the train. I had to take the bus.
Freehold doesn't have a train stop. Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, I took the
Now
bus.
the train stop, literally, it's like an hour into Penn, less than an hour into Penn.
Yeah, I know. So I had to take the fucking bus, which blows.
That really sucks.
Wow.
But yeah, I was wiped out, from the job. So I just like fell asleep on the bus. I couldn't help it. But yeah. So I don't know what the question was. Fuck.
What was it? Oh yeah, you had stuff. You said you did not have any animated cartoons in the queue when you started your channel.
Yeah. So I didn't have time to make anything. So what I would do is after I quit, I lifeguarded, and then I got home and I was gonna say, I watched a lot of Gary Vee at that time too, who was also like my medicine. Like, he was really like amping me up to do this. So I would pretty much follow what he told us to do, is just like, get your part-time job and like work hours after that. So I was getting like 4 hours of sleep a night, and like my day would consist of just lifeguarding into the office, and working on my cartoon. And like, I didn't have a social life. Like, it was bad. Like, I neglected a lot, which sucks. But it paid off. Like, it really did. Cause
how long did it take you to build up enough content to start posting?
I never had a queue of shorts. I kind of just, which sucks. I really wish I had like the manpower to like pump out, like have shorts on hand, but I've never had that. I've always just made a short, started a new one, then posted it, then a new one, then posted it. So right now I have nothing. Like, I gotta put out a new video in 2 or 3 weeks, and I got nothing.
Do a video about us chatting.
Yeah, I could.
So how long does it take you to make one?
Man, that's a whole nother thing. I could just talk forever, dude. Here's the thing, like, if I was to wait to the last minute and jam pack it all in as quick, like as fast as I could, probably like 6 days, which is if I had barely any sleep and I did nothing but make cartoons. So
and these are like not like a minute long. These are like usually like 5 to like 8 minutes, right?
Yeah. Like, the problem is, it's so funny because I recently got diagnosed with ADHD because I actually, after this whole YouTube journey I've been learning a lot about myself, and like being my own boss, I didn't realize how incredibly difficult it was going to be because I have to like tell myself what to do. And it's like, I'm not going to listen to me. Like,
nobody should listen to me. Why would I?
Yeah, like, I'll listen to my boss at like, my jobs, but if I like get out of bed, I'll be like, fuck you, I'm going back to sleep. Like, so it's been really difficult being my own boss. And I thought it was going to be easy, and it's really not easy. But I ended up getting tested for ADHD because I really can't sit in an office all day. I'm so bored because at Titmouse I would be running around and there was so much chaos, and I loved it and I thrived in that chaos. But making cartoons by yourself in office is a lot of the time it's really boring. Like, not working with a team is really boring. So yeah. I had to learn how to. I'm learning actually now. Like, I'm kind of struggling now with doing things on a schedule, like following a schedule instead of like you know, bullshitting all day, doing other things, and then waiting till the last minute. What I wish I had was a coordinator, like literally someone to be up my ass and say, get this shit done. You're not going to bed until you get this shit done. You know, I need somebody up my ass so bad.
And then be your own coordinator.
I know, it's like I was a coordinator, and you'd think if you were a coordinator you'd be good, but somebody with like an ADHD brain like me that's constantly needs to be like stimulated. That's why I love creating. But when it comes down to doing the in-betweens, or like, you know, I don't even really do that many in-betweens, but, you know, mixing the audio and like all the boring shit, I'm really struggling with that. I wish I could hire someone to do it.
So you do 100% of the cartoon yourself, right? You don't have anybody else helping you. That's why you're feeling this kind of pressure of doing this.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes sometimes I'll be able to afford getting somebody to do a couple of things for me. Like my last video, I have a scene where I have like 6 people sitting around in chairs. So I had somebody design, like just draw 6 people for me in those chairs. Like they're not animated. I mean, like the mouth and the expressions, I do all the expressions and stuff like that. But I just kind of paid somebody to put people in chairs for me. But it's mainly all by myself. So it's a lot. It's a lot of work.
Interesting.
You're almost getting to that status though that you can start like getting people to like jump on your train and like be part of your little crew and stuff. I feel like that's a thing that a lot of YouTubers end up doing later down the line when they start getting really big and they can start affording to like pay for help, like assistants and stuff, and editor.
Yeah, I'm not near that level yet.
You'll get there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's complicated because I want to hire someone to mix my audio, but I don't because I want to mix it, but I'm too bored to mix it. It's like so frustrating. It's like,
so it's a weird balancing act for sure, especially when it's something that's so near and dear to you and something that comes directly from you. You want to have complete creative control over it, you know. But I think at some point you'll be able to say, all right, I can let go of this portion of it. You know, I mean, that's what I'm learning of a lot of my friends who are artists who create their own things. They always get to a point where they're like, all right, I'm going to let go of this part. I'm going to let go of this part. I'm going to step back and I trust this person. You know? It's hard though.
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely, I've been doing this for a year now, actually. It's been officially a year, actually. Today, like this month has been a year. And I'm still learning so much about being a YouTuber. It's such a wild ride.
So on the YouTuber thing, how was it? Well, I mean, there's so many questions I have. I know we've already been going for about an hour and a half, but I feel like this is the part that I was excited to get to. But like, first of all, what went into you getting all of these? Because your videos, some of your videos have like 4 million views. You put up a video, like 3 days ago, and it already has about 200,000 views. Like, how did you get to that status of being able to get those views on YouTube? And what was it like when you started getting those views?
Yeah, I don't even know.
All right. Good night, everybody. No, I'm joking.
Well, I'll tell you. I'll try. Fuck. I just don't want to drag things out, but I'm gonna try and tell you like real quick how that started, how the viral shit kind of started. So I always have like I wanted to make sure I had like a plan before I just quit my job or whatever. Besides being a lifeguard, like an actual plan to like make me feel confident that I was going to have success on the platform on YouTube. So I like I said, I studied like the community for like a good year and kind of tried to figure out strategic ways to get in before I mean, that's not even like really that great of advice because I don't want to say like don't do anything for a year. Like I just genuinely didn't have time to do anything, so I just studied it.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well do it with your downtime. Like you want to get there eventually. What time do I have? Oh, not much. Let me use this little time I have to learn.
Yeah, like I was so depleted on my way home on the bus, like from work. Like I was like, all I can do is just study right now. I can't work, so on videos. So I just studied for so long, and I figured out that a lot of the ways people get big on YouTube is collabing. So collabing with a bigger YouTuber is a way to be like, you know, showing, let's say like a person with 10,000 subscribers collabs with someone with 100,000 subscribers. Now around 100,000 people are going, it's a whole brand new audience of people seeing this smaller YouTuber, and that could just jump up your views. And if your content is great, then not only are your views going to jump up, but you're going to get momentum on your channel because they're going to keep watching your videos and keep watching your videos. So I started learning about, when I was studying, I started learning about like things about the algorithm, things about like how to get viral, whatever. So I learned that collabing is one of the biggest things you could do in this community, in the storytime animation community. And so I was like, how do I collab with a bigger YouTuber? Like, that's what I got to figure out. And I think I had 4,000 subscribers a year ago. So I was that's like considered a nobody pretty much. Like, I'm not going to get in touch with somebody with 1 million subscribers. Like 4,000 subscribers is not enough to collab with somebody with 1 million subscribers. So I was like, how am I going to do this? So I figured out what Patreon was. And one YouTuber I really loved his content a lot. His name's Tim Tom, and I always loved his videos. I loved the way he executed, you know, his voice and stuff. So I found that he had a Patreon, and I saw one of the tiers on his Patreon said, you know, pay for this tier and you'll get 1 hour of writing advice with me, like YouTube writing advice with me.
Yeah.
And it's not an hour, a 30-minute phone call of YouTube writing advice. And I was like, wait a minute, like I can talk on the phone with this kid for 30 minutes about YouTube? Like, are you fucking kidding me? I don't care how much it is, like paying for this. Like, I will figure it out. And I think it was pretty kind of expensive. Like it was like $125 or something. And for me to do that when I was leaving my job was really risky and scary, but I knew it was like, it would be one of the only ways, you know, like to get a collab is to pay. Like, it makes sense. But it wasn't even for a collab. It was really just for writing advice. So I jumped on that and I paid for that. And I did another person's Patreon too, which didn't end up like really working out. But anyway, so I have that in my back pocket of like, okay, like I'm just making my odds better. Like I'm just finding ways to make my odds better. And I put out a video, you know, I would probably get like 4,000 views a video when I first, and then I put out another video and like maybe like 2,000 views. I was doing, you know, not super well or whatever. And a month goes by, Tim Tom didn't get back to me. And I'm like, shit, I got to spend another $125 now. Shit. So another month goes by and he still didn't answer me. I'm like, fuck. I really can't
afford for his Kickstarter. He didn't answer you.
No,
his Patreon.
Yeah, he never responded. Like
on Tim Tam.
Did you pay that money?
And I was paying him. Yeah. So I'm like, shit. Like I can't afford this. So I was like, I messaged him like, hey man, just wondering if you want to help on the phone for the call. So 3 or 4 months go by. I think it was like 3 months or something. And I was like, you know, Max, my husband was like, you gotta stop fucking paying for this shit. Like this is bad. Like, you know, it was bad. So Tim Tom got back to me and I was like, oh my God, it's him. And he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't know that you signed up, blah, blah, blah. And we hopped on the phone and we had like over an hour conversation. And he gave me, oh my God, unbelievable advice. Like this kid's freaking smart. He knows what he's talking about. So he gave me a ton of advice that I still like follow to this day.
Yeah.
And
how to get views? Can you reveal this advice, or is it private Tim Tom and Lauren talk?
No. It was smart thing. Like one thing he said so much, but one thing he said was I asked him how to stop being so awkward when I'm recording my videos. If you look at like my first story time video, I sound very like low and awkward, and he's like, stand up, use your hands, like have a, you know, enthusiasm. And he's like, something he said to do was study stand-up comedians. which was so smart because stand-up comedians, not even just for talking, but for writing, study stand-up comedians, because for storytime animation, a lot of younger kids are watching them, so they have short attention spans. Like they'll click off your video in a second. If it's not entertaining them, if they're bored, there's a whole ton of thumbnails on the side that'll look a lot prettier that they can click on. And they'll click right off. So he was explaining to me, you gotta keep them entertained the entire time. Every second needs to be entertaining. And, with stand-up comedy, there's nothing dragged out. It's always, all the information coming out of a comedian's mouth is always relevant, or like, it has to do with the punchline, or it has to do with the story. So
yeah, at one point I remember hearing Jerry Seinfeld talk about how he would edit his act down to the syllable, because every syllable counted towards the punchline. So if there was an extra syllable in there, the laugh would be slightly smaller, so he would cut it out. So I guess like that kind of stuff matters.
Yeah. And that's exactly like what he was kind of explaining to me. And I started studying, oh man, what the heck's his name? Shit. Dude from SNL. Oh, forget it. I don't know.
So many SNL dudes.
Anyway, it was this dude that I don't know what I'm saying. It's this dude that is he's just, the way he talks was really, really good to study for writing stuff. Because my scripts for YouTube used to be really like long and dragged out, as you can imagine. Like I drag things out all the time. So how am I gonna write scripts that are short and to the point? So anyway, little things like that. He gave me great advice, and he said, "I'm so sorry you had to, that I didn't get back to you. Like, what can I do to make it up to you?" I'm like, "No, it's fine." He's like, "Let me like shout you out in my video or something." I'm like, "Okay, like okay, I'll do that." I'm like, "You want to do a collab? Like, I don't care, but like if you want, like I'm down." He's like, "Yeah." So he said he collabed with me on one of my videos, and he shouted me out because, again, like a little luck sometimes plays in there. He forgetting about me for like 3 or 4 months led him to feeling so bad that he shout me out at the end of one of his videos. And this kid gets millions and millions of views all the time. And he said, "I hope you enjoyed my video, and go check out my friend L Cartoons. Here's a link." So it all started from there. Like, if it wasn't for him, not seeing my Patreon request, that never would have happened, probably. Yeah,
for sure. So that's another example of you, like, I think, you being on the younger side, like using this digital format of networking and talking to people and viewing things online, like to your advantage, just like you did with Steven Silver. You took the class online, you contacted him, you talked to him, you made friends with him, you went over there, and that's how you got to LA essentially. And then same thing with, what was his name, Tim Tom, right? You contacted him through his Patreon, you talked to him on the phone, you got a shout out. So like that people that are watching that want to do a route similar to you, have their own storytime cartoon on YouTube, like, take action. Talk to people.
And persistent too. You didn't give up.
Yeah, no.
That investment, that money that you did pay for that call for him on his Patreon, even though you felt like that was expensive and it was like throwing away money, it wasn't. It was an investment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's right. Exactly.
She's so after you got that shout out from Tim Tom, like what were your views like that next week?
So it was so cool. It's so funny because I was I think I was doing, my friend has a really well-known Instagram called Animation Hustle. I don't know if you guys heard of it, Animation Hustle, but he was interviewing me like that day, like on his Instagram. So like an hour after the collab got posted, like my subscribers were shooting up, like my views were shooting up, and like I actually have, like, it's live on my my channel, like he's like interviewing me, and I'm like, oh my god, I just shot up to like 5,000 subscribers, and I'm like seeing it happen live as I'm talking.
Was it Animation Hustle is what it was called?
Yeah, Animation Hustle, I think.
So within an hour of him shouting you out, you started climbing?
Oh, Tim Tom? Yeah. Within an hour of Tim Tom shouting me out, I started climbing. And I was also like, you could see it like live in like a video of me being interviewed.
I tracked that video down and watched that. It's fun.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Like it's cool. So I guess like the thing is though, I didn't like get super amounts of like it's not like all my success happened from one collab. That was my opportunity to get the momentum. So you know, the traffic coming to my channel from that shout out, at that point, it's up to me to keep the traffic and keep the momentum going. So like when he shouted me out, tons of people were coming to my page. It was up to me to say, okay, is the video that I'm collabing with Tim Tom in, because Tim Tom said, you know, we did a collab, go check it out. Is that video freaking good? Because if it's not good, I'm screwing up a huge opportunity here. Like, is this video entertaining enough? Like, is it great? So it, you know, it was a good video for, you know, what that kind of audience likes.
Mm-hmm. What video was it? Do you remember the video?
Yeah, it's well, it's not that good. I mean, it's called it's called I Lied to a Cop.
Okay. Featuring Tim Tom and Tab.
Yeah. That's a whole nother story. How Tabs got on there. She's another huge YouTuber. But I just talk all day. I can't talk all day. But Tabs was another person that was kind enough to collab with me. Also, she's awesome. But anyway, so you know, like that's why, like, for anyone that wants to be a YouTuber, if they're watching, like if you're lucky enough to get a collab with a big YouTuber or a shout out like that, don't screw it up. So make sure that the video that the person's, you know, make sure your video is good. Like, because if your content isn't good, you can get a collab, you can get 5 collabs, you're not gonna get big on YouTube. You're just not. A collab isn't the only way. I mean, people think, oh, all I need is a collab and I'll be big, but it's not true. Like, you really have to have good shit on your page, because the way that the momentum, you know, comes in is, this is what YouTube loves. YouTube loves when people are on their website for a long time. So if your videos are being clicked on constantly, like if someone watches one of my videos and then they watch another one and then they watch another one, I'm the reason they're on YouTube for an hour. And YouTube wants to reward me for that. That's how the algorithm kind of works. Like, that's part of it. So, you know, then they'll be like, okay, this person watched an hour of L cartoons today. Let's shoot her channel out to other people's recommendations, you know, their recommended videos. Let's she's obviously
understand that you can bring more eyes to the page. So they're like, all right, she gets eyes, let's put her over here.
Yes. So that's another thing. It's like, are you putting like a link at the end of your video for your next video? Like, are you setting yourself up for success? Like, are you putting your info in the description? Are you making your videos, you know, fast paced because people will lose, you know, interest fast? So,
I mean, everyone has ADD nowadays. We grew up on Nickelodeon cartoons, so, you know, that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's another thing where my ADHD kind of comes in handy, is because I understand what's boring. I get bored easily, so I know how to make things fun the whole time. I know how to keep people's attention, because I have a short attention span, so that, you know, it helps.
So I have a question. A minute ago, you said you wanted to make sure your video was good when you got the shout out, because if your video was shitty and you got a shout out, it wouldn't do anything for you. So could you tell me, I mean, obviously it's subjective to an extent, but what constitutes in your mind a good video versus like something that wouldn't have been successful even if it had a shout out?
It's so hard, because like for me, like my videos focus on, I try to focus on being funny. Like, that's just my style. Like, I try to crack jokes and be comedic. So my videos have to be funny. Like, that's what people know me for, like, is to laugh. Like, for some people in the community I'm in, they're more of like the relatable type, where you love them because you love them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I think there was this guy I watched who did something similar. I think, was it maybe Gabe Swar? I forget exactly who it was, but he did like you know, little stories of his childhood, and he would animate them as he you know. I was in the car with my mom driving.
I worked with Gabe on Kung Fu Panda.
Oh, really? I think I remember seeing, maybe it was him or maybe it was somebody else that
I think.
no, he was somebody in the industry, and he did like these little videos of him like with his family, and he animated them like stories growing up, and it was just mostly relatable content rather than hilarious.
Yeah, I want to see that. That sounds so cool.
It
Yeah,
I
exactly.
might have named the wrong person in the like weird fractured memory banks of my head, but it was definitely like somebody who's in the industry who did stuff like that on YouTube.
Right. But like
That's YouTube apart from TV.
What's that?
That's what sets YouTube apart from TV. That's why it's such a great community, because people like watching the realism of it, not like everything's scripted,
yeah, exactly, Sabrina. Like they fall in love with the personality of the YouTuber. That's why like a lot of YouTubers, I feel like a lot of YouTubers don't get opportunities on like TV and stuff like that, because it's confusing, because it's like a lot of their subscribers, like they'll just love whatever they do because they love that person. They love that person's personality. So like I'm lucky enough to, I feel like I have a good amount of people that just like kind of fell in love with me. And if I do kind of a shitty video, like I'll still be okay. But, like YouTube is special in that way where like people just fall in love with the person, the personality of the person. So
it was Gabe, by the way. I just looked it up. It was Gabe Swar. They don't have any views. They have like maybe 13,000. But I think I discovered it maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, and it's called Life in the Analog Age, and it's just him describing his life growing up, and he's animating it.
I gotta check that out. It's sick. I love that. Shit, I love that.
Sorry,
So
I know you were talking. I threw you off there. I apologize.
no, I love it. I love it. I don't even know what I was saying. Shit. What was I saying? I'm
Stop
sorry.
with us. Shout us out. Get us 1 million views. No, I'm joking.
All your names are on the screens.
So essentially, at this point, you're putting out a video. How often? Okay, you want to finish up? Go ahead.
No, right. You were saying what makes a good video. Like my point was like everyone has like a different genre. Like whether you're trying to be funny, you're trying to be relatable, you're trying to be whatever it is. I think what they all have to have in common is it does have to be somewhat like fast paced, and not like it has to be like but when I say fast paced, I mean like keep a flow going and don't definitely cut out the breaths. Like you know how you're watching YouTube, a lot of successful YouTubers will literally cut like any pause, any breath, they cut it out because they don't want to give you a reason to click off. They don't want to give you a second to think at all. They just want to keep going. So I mean, try your best just to keep the audience engaged as much as possible. Don't give them a second to click off. Like whatever genre it is, keep them engaged, keep them entertained as the entire time. And also,
as the old man in the call, I can tell you how terrifying that sounds to me.
no,
Give me the time, Brian. No breath.
Don't give them any time to think. Don't let them think about anything. Just keep going, Morty. Don't think about it.
I'm thinking about it. Yeah, just keep looking. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. So, like, the two big things for so it's
All right.
find your niche, whether it's comedy or relatability.
Old people.
Hone that niche, and then don't give them a reason to click off.
yeah, and be your. Oh well, obviously this is the biggest one, but YouTube's all about personality. It's and there's something about YouTube where the audience really feels when you're holding back or you're not being yourself. It's really crazy. Like people can feel it through the screen. So just you gotta learn how to be real, and just everyone has stuff about them that's unique and special, and that like they're known for with their close friends, where they like love, like people just like, oh, that's like that's Sabrina, like that's so Sabrina, or like that's so Nick, like or whatever. Like just be
So Raven,
person, like be that person that everyone just like fucking loves, and other people will love it too because it's real, it's organic, it's genuine. And that's what YouTube's honestly all about. If you look at all like the like really successful YouTubers, they're all people that are just so good at being like genuine to the camera, because and it's hard at first. But another good thing Tim Tom taught me was when you're talking to the camera or whatever. With cartoons, at least, it's easier. If you're telling a story, you know, instead of sounding scripted or sound a friend or talk on the phone, just talk to a friend. You'll be so natural. Like I've done that like before. I don't do it anymore, but I used to be on the phone, record myself as I'm on the phone. It was a lot of freaking editing, but I sounded so natural and like fun and genuine because I was.
Yeah.
I was on the phone with my friend, you know. So.
Yeah. If you try to like just stare at a camera and record, especially when you're doing like voiceover content that's supposed to sound like a story, it's probably gonna sound too forced and artificial.
Yeah. You gotta learn how to be yourself, and it takes time. It takes practice. It does.
Yeah.
Do it.
So a couple technical questions that just popped in my head. I'm curious. A couple things. First off, how often do you put out a video?
I try every 3 weeks.
Every 3 weeks. And you find success doing that? Like you think that's like normal for a storytime animator on YouTube every 3 weeks?
Depends on how complicated. Oh, Kitty! Hi, Kitty. Fuck was I saying? It depends how complicated your videos are. So, like for example, like the biggest YouTuber in the community, the Odd One's Out. He's ridiculous. Like his views are insane. His productions are a lot more like intense than someone like mine. So the Odd Ones Out has like a team working with him. Like he has like people that help him with it. So his videos will take a month, I think, around a month to make, but that's with a team and stuff. And he still gets a ton of views. Like his audience respects that his videos take this long.
Yeah.
Because that's just what, you know, yeah. Like
slightly higher production value.
Yeah. Higher production value is going to take longer. For me, I try to keep things really doodly because that's more of my, like, that's how I have fun making cartoons. I don't like being too serious with the with the quality. So I'm trying really hard to keep my backgrounds really loose and sketchy and not really try so hard on the backgrounds. Like for me, like I want the expressions and the
story.
The story, yeah, exactly, to be the best quality. So
storytelling, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So another technical question: what do you use to animate to record? Like, did you start off using just like your phone and your computer, and did you slowly get better equipment, or like did you start off pro right from the get-go?
Yeah. I mean, I bought this freaking thing. I bought this camera. I don't know why I bought a camera. I think I wanted to be a vlogger too. So I have a vlog channel too, and I do both. Like my vlog channel is kind of my outlet because I love like doing real life shit too. Like
yeah.
I kind of use my vlog channel when I'm getting bored of animating, and I go back and forth. But I bought this, and I kind of use the microphone on this camera. But you don't need. I mean, I think having a good quality mic is important. But you don't necessarily need like the best of the best equipment. Like it really is all about story. It really is. But it's really nice to have a good microphone.
Do you animate in Flash or in Harmony, or what do you use?
Flash. I use Flash.
Cool.
Yeah.
And are you and you're kind of harkening back to your days at Brookdale with your animation class? Is that where you started learning how to use Flash?
No, I actually learned how to use. I technically learned. I had a Flash class in AI, but I didn't learn shit. I actually learned how to use Flash from the animators at Titmouse. Like I would bug them. I'd be like, hey, after work, do you have time to like teach me a couple of things in Flash? I was like so annoying, but they would teach me. And actually, my good friend Chrissy Felmuth taught me Flash. She's an animator at Titmouse, so or not anymore at Titmouse, but she's an animator.
On Facebook. I don't think I like know her, but I think she friended me on Facebook at one point, so I think I'm a friend. It's
such a small industry. You probably heard of her. She worked at a lot.
I know Chrissy.
You know Chrissy?
Mm-hmm. The Flash community is also super small as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Chrissy's the best. She taught. She's a professor at SVA in New York too.
Oh, okay. That's where my writing partner went to SVA. The guy that used to study Steven Silver with me, like late at night and stuff like that. Yeah, he's a SVA grad. He's a cartooning major, not an animation major. But so.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, it's a great school. So I guess that, I mean, we've gone for about 2 hours. I feel like there's so much more we could talk about with this YouTube stuff. But I mean, is there any like big things we want to hit before we like start wrapping up? Because I definitely feel like if we wanted to, we could go a lot longer. But I don't want to. Usually it's about 2 hours, 2 to 2. Like, if you guys want to keep going, I'm down to.
Was a question that's actually a question we tend to ask anyways at the end of our interviews. Somebody asked, do you have any advice for an aspiring animator? Which is basically like an overall question we ask in the end anyways. So.
For an animator, that's someone that wants to be an animator, like on YouTube or like in the field or whatever.
I guess you could say, since you've been in both.
For
both.
I would say, shit. Well, I guess I'll say with both. Like, I hear a lot of people reach out to me because they want to be animators. I get that a lot, actually. And, you know, they say, like, what equipment do you use? What program do you use? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you know, like, I used to think that too. When I was in high school and I was like on my own, I wanted to learn like how to make cartoons. I'm like, what program do I use? It's not, the first thing you need to do is like learn the 12 principles of animation. Like, that's the first thing you do. Like, you know, there's no excuse for that. You know what I mean? Like there's no excuse like, oh, I can't afford this. Like, go on the computer, go on the internet, type in the 12 principles of animation and study the shit out of it. And once you understand that, that's the first step. Like, that's one thing that I struggled with, was I wasn't really super clear on that. Like, you hear of squash and stretch, but do you really know exactly how to do it? Like, you hear of all these things, but before you like want to jump into a program or learning a program and shit, or getting your pencil sharpened, or before you want to do anything, you want to learn and study like the basics of whatever it is. So so for those of you who want to be animators, definitely start with that, and then you want to start testing it out, and then you can actually start on, you know, a free program on Google. Like, you type in, there's a lot of free animation programs that you can go on. You don't have to pay money to make animation. Like, you really don't. So practice on there first, and then once you get good, like, go ahead and save your money and buy some fancy little program and learn it. I actually have on my Patreon a tier, and I didn't even make this tier to, like, you know, I don't really care about the money at all. For my Patreon, I made this tier for people that want to learn want to learn Flash. I have a tier like $25 if you want me to teach you how to use the program Adobe Animate, like every month or whatever. And I only made that tier because I wanted to be available for people that really want to learn it, and people, because when I started using it, I was having like freaking panic attacks. Like, I'm never gonna learn this program. Like, this is so complicated. I don't understand it. Like, I was really having breakdowns. Like, I'm never gonna be an animator. None of my dreams are coming true. I'm fucked. But Chrissy was nice enough to literally after work sit with me on a computer for like hours and teach me this program like one-on-one. And so like just her giving that to me like makes me want to give back. So that's just on there for people. Like, they want like a teacher, but
okay.
But you know, you don't need to use Flash. Like, you can use a free thing on Google. Like, there's plenty of free programs.
Sure. Yeah. And for anybody that doesn't know, Adobe Animate is basically Flash. It's the Flash turned into Adobe Animate.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, it's the same thing.
Same old thing.
We have a question.
Yeah. Let's take some viewer questions.
Okay.
Thanks to my LRATs that are here. You're so sweet. I love it.
They're very active. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone.
I haven't been reading. What are they saying?
Yes. So the talentless writer asked, if you were given the opportunity to have a TV show, but you have to give up YouTube, would you take it?
The talentless writer is a big YouTuber. What are you doing here? Hi, talentless writer. Dude, you guys got to check out the talentless writer, dude.
All right,
so, what was it? If you're given the opportunity to have a TV show given up on YouTube, would you take? I think YouTube bread. Sorry. I think like YouTube is something I'm definitely never gonna stop doing. Shit, I just pressed the button by accident. Okay. I'm never gonna stop doing YouTube. I think if anything, if I got an opportunity to do a TV show, I'd be sick. But it wouldn't like stop me from doing YouTube. YouTube is so much fun. I could never stop. If anything, I would either put out less videos on YouTube, maybe like not every 3 weeks, obviously, but I would still stay super active on my vlog channel and like put out animated videos, maybe like once a month and once every 2 months or something. So I wouldn't give up on YouTube with or without a show. You know, it's just one of those things I could always make time for. And even if it's a short, small, quick story, at least it's something. You know?
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. What other questions do we have?
So we got by Lauren D. If you could take the journey to where you are now all over again, what would you do different? Any regrets or things you wish you did sooner?
It like throughout my whole life.
Yeah.
I guess your professional journey as a storytime animator on YouTube.
Shoot. Well, I don't know. No, I don't really regret anything yet on YouTube. I don't think, but I do regret like not disciplining myself when I was younger and like really learning the basics of drawing, because it really fucks me like over a lot. When I'm making videos now, I could make videos so much faster if I was a better artist, honestly. Like a lot of things that slow me down with my videos are just not getting that hand right. And some things that I could have, if I would have took the time when I was younger to just study drawing more and like learn the basics more, I could fly through these videos a lot faster. So that's a huge regret, is just not sitting down, disciplining myself and saying, I'm going to draw for a half hour every day this week. And I'm going to practice, I'm going to practice the skull until I get it, you know, better. And you know what I mean? Like setting up goals for myself and learning drawing, because I'm telling you that really slows me down. My God.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, fundamentals. I know you talked about the 12 principles of animation, but yeah, I think like anatomy and stuff is important too if you want to kind of be able to cruise through the drawing.
Yeah, that's like first of the first. Yeah, I mean, like it's going to be hard to animate if you don't know how to draw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so take it from me, it's hard to animate when you don't know how to draw. I'm giving proof here.
Proof that it's possible.
Learn to draw, all aspiring animators out there.
It sucks, boring as hell, but it's worth it.
Yeah, especially in the end when you're finished with whatever you're working on, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And like now I'm at the point where I have to get stuff out on my YouTube channel like quickly, and I don't have as much time to learn to practice drawing. So like when I practice drawing, it's almost it's harder to make time. So if you have time, make time and just learn how to draw better, because once you get really good at it, it's gonna be freaking awesome. You're gonna love it.
What other cues do we have?
We got my mom is in this chat. She asked,
hi.
Diana Douglas Maddie asked, do you want to keep doing this in the future or want to change careers? I think she means like, is this something you're going to want to do for a really long time? Or is there another career that you want to like jump into or something?
Man, I don't know. I really want to make Kate and Kit. Like, I don't really, like, my heart's so set on it for so long. Like, I don't know. I just want to make Kate and Kit, and then I'll figure it out. I have a passion for making people laugh, obviously, and stuff, and entertaining people. And I feel like I could really do that through Kate and Kit the best, like better than I can through what I'm doing now. I just want to make that show so bad. But besides like YouTube or like art, or you know what I'd love to do, honestly? Like this is so random, but I mean, I would love to make a YouTube channel on like mental health and stuff. Like I'm so into mental health. Oh my God.
That please do. There's not enough of that.
No one cares about mental health though. That's the thing. Like, but
YouTube actually does. It's getting there.
No, it's getting there. You're right. It really is getting there. People are starting to care. Like, because I'm learning so much about like, because I just, like I said, got diagnosed with ADHD. So I'm learning so much about how my brain, like how it works, like things work. And anyway,
cartoons of that.
I want to, but no one cares. I swear. Like no one. Like this is the thing. Like I would. This is what I want to do. Like when I have time, I want to make a whole new channel, and I want it to just be on like something like really lame, like just like learning lessons in life and like or like mental health types of shit. Like a learning channel, which nobody wants to watch, but I like making stuff like that. And I would incorporate like little doodly cartoons in it as I'm talking or something. I don't know.
I think there's an audience for that now. I think that the conversation has been opened up, and there's definitely an audience out there. So.
And that's also another tip too, in the long run, to be happy doing whatever you're doing is make sure it's making you happy. Because at the end of the day, that's what matters. Like you kind of have to ask yourself, do you want to keep making content for people, or do you want to make it for yourself, like, and make yourself happy? You know?
Yeah, for sure. And I'm actually at the point where like. I am like, I get easily bored or whatever. So I am trying to think of new ways to spice things up in my life. And I'm gonna start. I always talk to my fans and stuff about how I want to put more stuff on my vlog channel, which I'm planning on. But yeah, that would be like the answer to that question is like a goal of mine is to just like help be an educator in mental health. And because the fact that I learned that I have ADHD at age 30, like, kills me. Like, it kills me. Like, I can't believe I had to figure it out this late in my life because I wasn't educated, you know? I could have gotten counseling. I'm starting counseling for it and stuff. Started on last week for that. So it's just all stuff I could have probably benefited from learning, like, in an earlier time in my life. Yeah. So, like, something where it comes to, like, educating people, like, mental health, maybe. I don't know.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's really great. I mean, I think maybe you'd be able to balance both and do your animation channel and also do some mental health videos on the side as well.
Yeah, I think I could make that happen one day for sure.
Sure. So, any more cues? I'm looking at the thing actually. There's a couple funny ones.
Yeah, did you want to read some?
Oh yeah, sure. It's Carly says, would you ever vote for Shrek for president?
They were debating that earlier in the chat.
It's Carly. Why would you say Sweet Potato should be president? You know this, Carly.
Carly, get with it. Go ahead, Sabrina.
Worm asked if you could write a book, what would it be about? That's a good question, because a lot of YouTubers I noticed they do end up going down that route of writing a book. Because a lot of people want to hear their stories.
Oh.
Yeah, where's your biography at?
I don't know. I guess if I. Yeah, right. I don't know. I think I always have to be funny in things that I do. Like if I was to write a book, it would have to be funny. Like I would have to make comedic. Like it would have to be comedic in some way. Like I'd have to crack jokes. Like if I was gonna write a book, I don't know. I'm very passionate about helping, specifically like kids in middle school. I feel like have a hard time because they're going through this transition of like you're an innocent kid to like now you're getting into this world of like puberty and like I don't know, you're like coming out of this like innocent like child world and you're growing up. And I always freaking hated middle school so much for that. Like it was like all of a sudden like being cool mattered, and like all of a sudden, you know, I was embarrassed to be watching Nickelodeon. That's not cool. Like, or like, you know, like oh, I'm not thin enough, and all of a sudden like, oh, like all these things mattered. Like, oh, I'm you know, it was just, I feel like if I was to do anything, it would be somehow help to inspire people around that age to be themselves and not care as much about society's bullshit. And I guess like if I was to write a book, it would probably, I would try to like work with like professionals or like people to kind of help make a book to inspire people that age, like targeted towards people in middle school to read and I don't know, like feel like they don't have to be cool and shit. I used to just
feel like they're normal, going through whatever they're going through.
Yeah. Yeah.
And helping them deal with that stuff. Yeah, middle school is tough for everybody, I think. Fucking sucks.
Yeah. It's the worst. Oh my God. Like being a kid is the best. And then you have to like all of a sudden care about the dumbest shit. And like you're going through puberty and you're ugly and you have pimples and then, like everything sucks. Like I hated middle school so much. So like I don't know. There's too many sad stories about kids like wanting to hurt themselves because they got made fun of or they feel like they're ugly. Oh, that's the worst. When kids feel like they're ugly, oh, it makes me so fucking sick and sad.
I hear you.
So sad, and it's so not true when they think this, and they really think that they're ugly. It's so sad to me. I don't know, anything where I could inspire kids to love themselves. I would love that.
Nice answer. So we're having a couple questions saying, are you actively working on Kit and Kate? Do you have an answer for that? Are you actively working on that? Are you
Shades and Braids asking?
Shades and Braids is the best. I love you, Shades and Braids. I've always been working on Kate and Kit, but like because I've been like really trying to prioritize my, you know, mental health and stuff, like figuring out my ADHD issues and how to conquer them, and my other priorities, YouTube, obviously, like my main channel. So I haven't been super focused on Kate and Kit, but my goal is to make Kate and Kit stuff before the year ends and put it out on YouTube. I want to start like showing you guys who they are and like showing you their personalities and stuff like that, and that on the internet before January of next year. So
is there any Kate and Kit content out there yet?
No. No, not like on the internet. I have a lot of stuff that I used to like work with people like at Titmouse and stuff that have been helping me develop it, and like I had some of them help me animate and design stuff. But I have like a whole bunch of like pre-production stuff in my office, but I've never put it out to the world because it's scary. It's scary.
I don't know if you want to make it legit in the future, and there's a lot of like legalities and everything that's involved with that, with stealing copyrights and all that stuff. So
that's true too. Like I didn't think of that, but that's true too. And like, but mainly just I want it to be. I guess I want it to be like perfect before I put it out there. Like just terrible. Like I'm not usually like this much of a.
Great. I mean, it's so close to your heart. You want to.
Yeah. I just want it to be. I want to be confident in it before I show it to the world, and I'm not confident in it yet. So,
I hear you. Yeah.
But I'm working on it. My goal is before the year ends. Like you guys will know who they are, and you'll fall in love with those characters.
Exciting.
awesome.
I'll let you know.
So I guess we're coming up on 2.5 hours here. Do you want to do one last question? Is there any other ones?
I think that's actually pretty good. I think all the questions were pretty much answered.
Nice. Very cool. Well, just to give a quick summary on Lauren L's life here, pretty fantastic. To be honest, like I learned more in this interview than I think I've ever learned, because this world is so foreign to me. Like, you know, I come from a live action background moving into animation, but then like the pipeline animation is what I know. Like this YouTube animation world is completely new to me. I never knew about getting a collabs would make you like your account grow. I didn't know about the Storytime YouTube animation community. But as soon as you say these things, as soon as you said these things, like it clicked and it made a lot of sense to me. So like, it's interesting. Like your story was definitely one of the most unique I feel like we've ever had on the show. Like starting out in Central Jersey in Freehold. I mean, you know, place that's near and dear to my heart. You know, going over to Brookdale Community College.
Yeah.
There's like, you know, hitting up Steven Silver, getting that internship at Nick, going to AI, and moving over to Titmouse, and then like studying your ass off how to figure out how to do this this YouTube thing, and then kicking ass at it. It's a pretty fucking great story, and I'm sure we inspired a lot of our listeners. Not only that, but a lot of people probably didn't know about this shit, and they're like, oh, maybe I can do that. And you probably like set the light bulb off in like dozens of kids' heads right now, you know, which is
that's like really sweet. Thank you. That means a lot. Thanks for like listening to my I talk a lot. I sometimes drag things out way too much, so I apologize for all that.
all right.
That's the point of the podcast.
Yeah,
It's a whole conversation.
Podcast for people like you too, because I'm sure most of the time you're working on your content, and so it's cool to like have a moment where like you get to actually have a reason to tell your life story, because a lot of people won't tell their life story because they're like, nah, that's too narcissistic, you know. It's not all about me, you know. So it's cool to have this opportunity to hear about you.
Yeah, and I love that you're plugging your brand. I noticed the hat like halfway through the interview. I noticed the shirt as well. Like, oh damn, it's like hat and shirt.
Yeah, that was a little embarrassing. I was like, shit, this is too much. I like tried to hide it with my hair. I'm like, no, I shouldn't.
No.
But it's like, honestly, I don't have any clothes. Like that's like part of really why I'm wearing all this, because I really need to go shopping. Like this is all I actually have, like merch. Like
all I own is my merch.
Anyway, no.
Nice.
It's like everyone knows me as a cartoon, so I try to like put my cartoon on my on me when who's that? Oh.
It's good branding. I mean, yeah, it's a really iconic character that stands out, and I'm definitely gonna buy myself some merch after this.
Oh shit! Well,
sure. Got to support New Jersey.
I draw people doodles for whoever buys my merch, so let me know.
Oh hell yeah, man! I got a wall. Most of my wall right here is just doodles of people I admire and friends of mine. It's like 80% of that wall is
and there's
like
a section
framed
for people from Jersey.
No, but I'll start. Yeah, no, my writing partner did a doodle up there. He's from Jersey. He drew a giant butt shitting as it going over flying butt shitting as it's going over a house.
So, I have a proposal. Since your fans are so amazing and they want to know so much more about you, I say if you're up to it, we could have you back again as a guest, just to answer questions. Would that sound good to you?
I would love to. Anytime.
Yes, we would love another episode with Elle, just to ask questions.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Look at all that. They stayed up so late.
Yeah, they're so dedicated.
Guys are the best.
It's almost like 1 o'clock over there for you.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like we've been talking for like 10 minutes. This is crazy. I can't believe how much time.
It went by quick because, you know, there's a lot of really good stuff in there. So, Brian, do you have any Brian's words of wisdom to wrap us up?
One of the things I took the most from Elle's story is the fact that, like, you didn't let yourself be pigeonholed, which I think is hugely important. A lot of people in their careers feel like they and then they hit the existential crisis. But I mean, you're only 30, and like considering how much you've gone through is tremendous. And you knew exactly what you wanted. You have never wavered for that, which is why you're still wanting to develop. Was it Kate and Kid? Kate and Kid, sorry.
No,
but like, yeah, it's like those things are super important to kind of like maintain your passion and know what makes you happy. So if you're doing a job, or if you're working, and even if you're working in animation and you're not being fulfilled and you're not feeling passionate and having fun with it, do something else. There's nothing stopping you. There's plenty of avenues, and just find out what you like to do, and then please do it, and you will be successful.
That's very true.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Lauren, thank you so much for coming on our Ass Podcast. We loved learning all about your ass. It was a lot of fun.
I'm a huge fan of your guys' podcast. I've watched so many episodes and I love it, and I'm honored to have been on it. So thank you.
Honors are. Thank
So
you.
obviously, we usually ask our guests where they can find you, but I think a lot of people that are listening already know that. But why don't you just give it a shout out anyway?
You can find me on YouTube. It's eLL space cartoons, L cartoons. And then I have a vlog channel that I would really like you to subscribe to too. It's called L Vlogs. So eLL space vlogs. And then on Instagram, it's like L_cartoons. Same with Twitter. That's about it, I think.
And I believe we have that in our description down below, right, Nick?
Yes, everything she sent me is in the description.
Tight. Cool. Well, Lauren, thanks again for coming on the Animation Success Stories podcast. You were awesome. I learned a lot. You inspired so many of our viewers, I'm sure. Yeah, and thanks so much for teaching me so much shit about the YouTube animation community.
Dude, I love talking to you guys. Anytime, whether it's a podcast or not, hit me up. I'm down to talk.
You're awesome.
Have you back for-
Yeah, it was a total pleasure, man. Thanks for coming on. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. We will see you all next time in the ass.
Bye, guys. Thanks for having me.
Bye. Hey, you can hang out if you want for a minute.